I do have 2 updates to make to previous statements. I was listening to our podcast, as one does. I'm just like you guys. And oh no, Jen mentioned I have a little scar on my foot, and she's like, "Oh, what's that from?" And at some point, you asked the greatest party we had been to, and I feel like I have to shout out the full moon party in Thailand that I went to, where I got this scar on my foot. It was the greatest party I've ever been to, because of people from all over the world. Happens once a month on an island in Thailand, and it's just like everyone body paint, fluorescent colors, like. And it wasn't all about the alcohol or the mushrooms. It's like just a lot of like fun random things. I was breathing fire because there was a crowd of people and these dudes were breathing fire. And then they're like, yeah, come on up.
Wait, like
and
literally breathing fire?
Spitting vodka?
Like, yes, you spit something out. So I had tried that with Everclear before. It works pretty well. So I was just like, well, this is probably going to be just like Everclear. But they hand me this cup of stuff and I like take a gulp, but not to swallow, obviously. And it was kerosene. So that was really unpleasant.
Goodness.
And then I spit it out very quickly and it was good fire breathing, I guess. But then I was like, I can't swallow now for the next like hour because I just had kerosene in my mouth. Yeah, so for the next hour, I'm just like spitting and whatever. And then they have like fire jump ropes. Anyways, the scar didn't come from any of that. It was because I was up on a rooftop and then they had a slide down to the beach. So I like jumped head first down the slide, but my foot like nicked the edge. And so by the time I get to the bottom, there's just like blood gushing.
Did you think your toe had fallen off?
It was
like,
pretty intense. So then I just like packed sand in it and like shoved it in. And it worked. So
Disgusting.
yeah. So anyways,
You both are about to
it was a
faint.
good time.
Yes.
Also, I liked it because it was so many different people from different countries and different walks of life. I had like a fun interaction with these people that didn't speak our language and were all deaf. And we were drawing things in the sand to communicate. And I just thought it was so cool.
That's
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it was a good time.
So that came up in our last podcast?
No, it was a few ago
yeah.
where we were talking about the party that Slughorn had. And John said, what was the greatest party you've been to?
And you didn't recall that party?
No, I didn't recall that party at the time. But when you asked about the scar, I was like,
Because I've heard that moon party story before.
yeah, because I told you when you asked about the scar.
I'm pretty sure it was on the podcast. No?
I think so.
Well, maybe I repeated it and it was on the pod.
That
but-
story, I don't think, though.
Oh,
I don't remember that
I
story.
better not take another bite. ASMR.
Oh, sorry, I just wasn't-
Oh,
True.
you know another thing? Because it's
I don't
funny,
know what that
we've
means.
talked about so much stuff on... it's like that thing where people make creepy noises in their microphone
Yeah.
because people want to hear people chewing and like stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, I didn't know you were listening to me. Yeah.
It's not that pleasant, but it is strangely addicting.
Yeah. I had an ASMR face.
Yeah.
As one does.
Yeah. So sometimes we
Well, I just
accidentally
learned
do
what
that for the
was.
people.
There is, so whatever you're going to say, there is another thing that people were bugging me about. And someone made a whole Reddit post on this. And I had to justify what we said because I think I inputted this in as headcanon for you guys because the alternative to me is really scary. But people want us to clear up that Molly Weasley never explicitly said that she gave love potion to Mr. Weasley. It was only
Very
that she was
interesting.
just brewing love potion. So I said, in my headcanon, it's Molly and Arthur, and they were already in love, and they just wanted to have, like, you know, a good night. And to me, that's the headcanon, because the alternative for her brewing love potions and giving them to other people is dark, and I don't want to think of Molly Weasley in that light. She doesn't strike me as, like, a love potion brewer to try to woo people to herself. So I just had to clear that up.
Very interesting.
But anyway, you guys were just...
I just went to a dark place. I don't want to go.
You guys were just at an event on Saturday. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Wow.
Where did you guys
Quidditch
go?
World Cup. Actually, I don't know what to call it. Maybe it was the Muggle Quidditch World Cup. Or maybe it was the International Quad Ball Association World Cup. It was originally scheduled for 2022, but it got delayed. COVID actually might have even been earlier, but I think it was 2022. But they canceled it, and then it happened this year, Richmond, Virginia. And we didn't know what to expect. But Jen, what was it like?
It was very interesting. It was actually very entertaining. It was different than what I expected. I thought it'd be more like full blown Harry Potter fans, but it was like a sport event.
Yeah.
And then people were Harry Potter fans, but it was very subtle.
Did anybody like come in full Harry Potter regalia?
No,
really.
that's
Not
what
a
I
single
thought was
person.
weird.
Wow.
All of the team
I would've
name.
been
No,
there.
I shouldn't say all. Many things referenced Harry Potter vaguely,
Full on
like
Dumbledore over here.
wizards, Gryffindors. I'm trying to think of what else. Like random things like
Snitch
that.
was
Oh,
on-
certainly the snitch is involved, and the whole game
on
is Quidditch.
But on the some of the jerseys, they actually had the logo, like snitch emblems or something.
Yep. So it was there, but it's possible if somebody didn't know what Harry Potter was, it's possible they could go there and just assume it was a regular sport.
Yeah.
Nothing stood out as Harry Potter. I didn't see anything
Interesting.
more like, referenced. I wasn't hearing people in the stands talk about it. I was very on alert for that.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say that's a risky thing to do.
Yeah. And I didn't see anything that was that absurd, but they're trying to make it a little bit more like an independent thing.
Yeah.
So that's why they call it quad ball now. And they're not trying, well, I can't speak for the people who are organizing it. I don't think they're trying to like fully separate themselves from Harry Potter, but enough that people who don't like Harry Potter can still like the sport. It's probably a little misguided in my opinion. I say just embrace it. But also I'm new to the whole Harry Potter thing.
Yeah.
So maybe the people who have been big fans of Harry Potter for a long time are like, we need a sport for the new generation. I don't know, but it was really fun. Everyone was so like silly and nerdy and just like, but athletic too. This was no joke. This
Yeah.
was not like playful, we're having fun. This was like, these people were tackling each other.
Yep.
It was like, I didn't even understand the rules. We were trying to catch up, and I'm like, I mean, we read
We're
the
watching.
chapters, but this is bizarre.
We were watching our first game, and I was like, I can't follow this. So I pulled up the rules, the book, the manual, and I'm like going through it half the game, and I'm like, oh, okay, Danny, like, look, this one is like this, and they all have different color headbands, which represents what position they are.
Okay.
And then the snitch only comes out 19 minutes into the game. It's not always in the game. And the snitch it looks like it's part of the field. So it's not either, it doesn't come with the team, but at least it seems that way. But it's an actual
Brutal.
person.
Yeah.
And it's only one person. Meanwhile, the seekers rotate. They have probably like
Oh, like
two
hockey,
or
really?
three. And they just like you transition in after like a round of trying to get the snitch.
Interesting.
But the poor snitch is wrestling these guys, and so he doesn't get to tap out. He's there
He's
the
just
whole
there
time.
huffing and puffing.
Yeah, and
Oh
I'm like,
my
that's
God.
not fair.
So
They're constantly
intense.
like rotating the seeker. I was like, this is so interesting.
Yeah, it was weird.
And
man.
once they're in minute 19, that's all I focused on. I wasn't watching
Yeah,
anything
you
else
don't-
but everything else is still going on. So like you're hearing whistles and like cheering, and you're like, oh, I'm just watching the snitch and trying to like understand who's gonna win
Yeah.
and the point system was interesting. But then
Yeah.
the snitch is also allowed to say if it's fair or not.
Yeah,
like
if there was a foul, it's
the
overturned.
refs would go to the snitch. Do you think that was like a clean like catch or like
Really?
Interesting.
whatever?
And we didn't. It would have been nice to like look up a little bit more of the rules or go in more prepared. But the first game we watched, they got the snitch like 5 times, and I was like, wait, but the points aren't reflecting. I kind of missed it, but they got overturned every time until
Oh,
the 5th
wow.
one. And then that ended the game. But then there were times you could tell the one team wasn't even trying to get the snitch. And
Yeah, it was
I
so
couldn't tell if they just needed more
That's
people on
fascinating.
defense. And the bludgers, it was like a dodgeball. If you get hit with it, you have to run back to your own goal, tap it, and then you're back in play.
Mm-hmm.
If you drop your broom, might have been the same thing. You have to touch your goal
no
and
one
come
dropped
back in.
it though. I didn't
Only if they
notice.
were wrestling, which happened weirdly
Oh,
often,
that's true.
where like some big dude would just like grab somebody and
was
they'd
so-
be wrestling on the
it
ground
was
trying to
so
pull the
hard.
baffle away. I was
It
like,
was definitely hard to follow. And then we're listening in on other people in the stands. Like they're like, "Oh, that was a call," and da da da. And I'm like, "What are they saying?" Like I'm trying to like,
yeah.
I don't know. It was
And-
very entertaining. And also the brooms though, like it was the weirdest thing. Like they're running around
Yeah.
with brooms and they can't drop it. They
I
have
feel
to
like
have
that's
it.
a weird part of
But
the
then
game.
you don't see it. Like actually, once you start watching
Yeah.
it, you don't notice brooms at all. All I see is
Yep.
people running like as if they had nothing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh wait, they're carrying broomsticks.
So a lot of things are one-handed, but then
so
every once in a
weird.
while they do a good clench and then they grab their other hand and they can like do stuff.
No way.
Yes,
was-
it's so
they were
crazy
pretty
'cause
good
you
at it.
can't
It was
drop
no
it.
joke.
As in-
Yeah.
Literally,
Favorite
right?
meme of all time.
And then the dodgeballs were so great. I don't know what the bludgers they
Yeah.
had. I forget what color. I think they
Wait,
were
wait,
green.
is the bludger the ball or the person?
The person, but it is
It's
technically
also the ball too, yeah.
So like they had dodgeballs, and like sometimes it was hysterical. They would like throw it and it would hit them smack in the face and stuff.
Oh gosh.
It was so great. Like I was just dying.
It sounds like a
laughing.
lot.
But
going on.
you could also hit like the volleyball was whatever
The quaffle was basically a volleyball. That's what it looked like.
yeah. But you could hit it with the dodgeball to like
Really?
block it
And they're
from
so
some
good.
pass.
Someone's like
It was
throwing
so
it right
good.
for the goal, and a dude just knocks it out of the air. He snipes it. And this
So
one
good.
kid on the US team was really good at that.
Yeah,
Did it like
number
3 times.
7. What was his name?
So this was
Tyler.
Yeah.
Tyler. Shout out
USA
Tyler.
was really good.
Really?
Yes.
It was funny because it was a nice place. They had like 5 or 6 turf fields, lighted fields. Lighted? Yeah. And it felt
Lit
pretty official,
fields.
but in another way, it also felt really weird and casual. And like there was not really a lot of food there. So they weren't ready for the crowds.
Yeah.
So it was a strange mix. But there were teams like from other countries. This was not like
A lot
a joke. It
of
was like
other
Japan
countries.
had a really good team. Hong Kong had a team. France and
That's
Germany
so
and
crazy.
like
Was there only one team
from each
Australia.
yeah, only one from each
Wow.
country.
Who won?
We're not stating an opinion about Hong Kong, China, whatever. We're just saying each area, each region. But another fascinating thing is that some of the players, it seemed like, came from US teams
Yeah.
and joined country teams. So not everyone, but there was an African nations team, and I heard one of the kids was talking about how he was playing for a team in Boston or something. So there was some crossover, but then there were other teams where it was clearly more independent. Like, oh, they all speak French and they're all speaking Japanese. These
Yeah,
people
that's
all have
cool.
Australian accents. So it was definitely an international Quidditch World Cup.
That's crazy.
Do you guys know who won?
US did.
Oh, nice.
They
Yeah.
did?
Yeah, for
But
the
honestly,
like,
we
5th
saw
time in a row.
I know because we
The
saw
team's
like
good.
4 matches and 3 of them were USA. At least I saw because I had to take a
They were
break
a really
in the
good team.
car.
Germany
So
was
hot.
too, but oh yeah, one of the refs just collapsed mid game because it
Really?
was so hot.
So
No
hot.
way.
The refs and the snitches were just they were going to town. I don't know how they did it. Honestly, everyone was like going crazy. It was so hot and they're just out there exposed all day long. But like the
They
refs
also how
were
many
going
refs
for
were
it.
on the
There were
field?
like 5 on the field.
Yeah.
Each goal has a ref.
Oh
then
my
there's one ref
goodness.
who only watches the snitch, and then there are like 2 more just like circling. And it was intense. There's a lot of administrative stuff as far
Yeah.
as keeping people accountable for things. And no, that ball did touch you. You do have to go back.
Oh my
or
gosh! And the
you did drop
coaches,
it.
like, when they would like, what is it? When they would go to the refs
Yeah,
to like
Little
dispute.
arguments.
Yeah, oh, that was funny.
Yeah.
USA did it a lot.
Yeah. Honestly, the whole thing was really fun.
Oh
I
my
would
gosh!
recommend it to
Remember
anybody.
when it was USA and the last match we saw at 5 o'clock?
Belgium?
Yes, and they had very similar colors, and it was this whole debate about who's changing their jersey, and then they had
Big drama.
and then they
love
had
this.
pennies, and then they ended up having Belgium's do their jerseys inside out. But
Yep. Because
people were
I shouldn't say
cheering.
every. My theory was Belgium didn't have a away jersey, or is it home? Whoever wears white.
Yeah.
But most of the teams, or some of the teams at least, had home and away jerseys. So in each match, even though everyone was away, it was chosen one team to be the home or the away. But then Belgium had to turn them inside out. So yeah, that was
and they were
funny.
like cheering,
And the
against-
crowd was all like, ugh. I think people maybe didn't want USA to win because we've won so many times.
Yeah,
and the
of
sport
course.
did kind of originate here. Richmond and Boston and New York, I think all had pretty big teams. Colorado had a big team. So there have been people playing Muggle Quidditch for a decade or more in the US. But a lot of other countries were still kind of catching up. So
I know that there's a binge mode episode where they interview someone who like was the founder of the Quidditch League, and she talked about how it got started, and it was like started on all these college campuses, and it just starts like slowly grew out of that, and they had like an intercollegiate league where they played each
Yep.
other, and then I forgot which. I think it was like the South or something like that. The South was like way too strong. But then when they had the actual Quidditch World Cup, they did different representation from each region. And it was like a fury because the South was so strong. And they were like, you're taking good players from other that aren't in the South and you're like leaving them off the team. So it sounds like it was kind of fun and like dramatic, and
Yeah.
so I was a little bummed I couldn't go. But do they do it every year, or every 4 years?
No, I think it's every 2, but it depends. There's like a Pan American Games every 2 or every 4, but alternating
cool.
from the World Cup. But I think the next one is maybe 2024 because this got delayed from 2022. So we'll look into it. We'll go. I thought it was a lot to squeeze into a weekend because, well, we're getting married, so we don't have that much extra time off from work and stuff. So we're like, all right, we'll just do Friday. Let's go quick. We'll drive there. And it was hectic, but it would be really fun to make a real video and interview people because some of these people knew a lot. Like they're talking about like random things and violations and team drama, and they like knew everything. And we're sitting there in the stands next to a snitch who's just wearing his snitch outfit, and he's talking to the teammates from other teams, and they knew all the drama, and they're like, oh yeah, and they're like making some joke and they yell something. I'm like, what does that mean? Oh yeah, they got married last year. So the 2 members of the
That's so
USA team got
cool.
married. I was like, it's so funny.
Is it there has to be like a certain amount of men and women on the team, right?
Yeah, they worded it in a very like
It was 3 women.
politically
had to be.
correct way
Yeah.
of like you can't have any more than a certain number of any one gender, or
Yeah.
I forget how they worded it, but it was basically
looked
saying
like-
we want inclusivity for people.
It looked like there was 3 women on each team.
At least.
At least,
Yeah. And they were good. A lot of them like tall, like volleyball player types, you know. They
Yeah.
were
That
rocking
sounds
it.
so fun.
That's the one that rocked one in someone's face,
to
and
go
I was
somewhere.
dying laughing.
Make it
Really?
happen.
Yep.
Someone got rocked in the face.
Yeah, the dodgeball. She was like a volleyball player. She was so tall. She goes, "I'm sorry." She goes, "I'm sorry. I just threw it." He's like, "I'm not as tall as you." So like it went in his face. It was so funny. I was so dying.
I feel like it's still got like rawness to it, where it's not this huge, incredibly put on thing, but it's still fun enough that it's like just a group of people just hanging out and playing.
Like it felt
But
really
everyone-
serious in some ways, and then there were other ways where you're like, oh yeah, that dude right there invented this sport. You know what I mean? Like he's the one who literally wrote the rule book that we are opening. So it still felt like a kind of cool community. Like anyone who's
They
anyone
knew.
in the Quidditch world was at this thing. So it
But
was,
a lot of people
Was
from
Crumb
other
there?
teams like knew each
Yeah.
other.
yeah.
Was there a Victor Crumb? of
You
it?
know
Scrub
what? There
there.
should have been so many missed opportunities. Although there might have been more that we just didn't even notice. But yeah.
That's so cool. I'm so jealous. I was in another country and you guys were texting me or I saw the pictures on Instagram and I was like jealous. I was like, why can't I be there in Richmond, Virginia rather than where I was? I was like, come on.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, Quidditch talk is boring for some people, but not for us. I guess I have one question for you guys before we start. What is a Horcrux?
Nice.
I was gonna say, I'm glad you said crux.
Why? What do you think? What?
I'm glad you said crux. What is a whore?
I went right over my head.
I
Yep.
didn't see that. I was waiting for it to hit,
Did
but
not
no.
click.
Sorry. Anyway, keep going. That's just yep.
I don't know, but it's bad. Real bad. I can't tell if it's one thing or multiple things.
Is it actually like a thing, or is it like a spell or like a jinx thing?
It sounded physical. The way it was like said, it didn't, or maybe it's just the word, the vibe of the word makes it feel like a physical thing.
But Hermione doesn't even know what it is, and
Yeah.
she can't find any books. That's what it was.
And
so
even
weird.
the book that was talking about dark, bad, scary
It just
stuff was
said,
like, we're not going to talk about it here.
like, why even mention it? Right?
Suspicious.
Did they get rid of them?
Wait, them? What do you mean?
I don't know if it's a them. I was thinking it's more like that whatever that dead horse thing that you can only see if you
Like
saw.
a thestral thing?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Interesting.
what I was thinking of. But like that maybe you can control.
I thought of it maybe being like a voodoo doll or something, where it's like a thing, like a not a time turner, but like a thing where it's like you could somehow do some kind of spell that connects it to a person, and then you get to control when they live or die. Or like then you'd be like, I'm gonna break this thing, and the
Gosh.
person would die. Or you could maybe control them, like an Imperious that doesn't go away or something. Because I thought of it as being physical, and it sounded, I don't know. but I'm not sure. And then I keep trying to think of other things that have come up, like Time Turner stuff. Could it be about time? Could it be about
About time.
Whoa!
Always comes up.
About that.
Could it be ancient magic? Sorry. Man, yeah, I don't know. Could it be a polyjuice thing? No, they need another thing for that. But I did think with the living dead people, the in theory. It could be related to that because they've like been brought up, but we don't know much about it. And then even I thought of Fudge and his little army. The one time we heard a rumor that he had an army. Still don't know if that was true or anything. But like, could it have been made with a Horcrux? Can a Horcrux like create matter? I don't know. But the fact that a dark and evil book, like a book on dark magic, thought it was over the line, it must be something that's so sketchy, it would like mess with, like even dark wizards are not fond of this.
Maybe someone created it and then realized how bad it could be and they got rid of it.
It's like too powerful. It's
And
too
they,
much.
like, took it out.
Do you guys think that we've ever come across
Probably.
this in the series yet?
That'd be a very JK thing to do. But I don't know how we could have.
Just kidding.
Well, unless the locket is one or the ring, and that's why they tried to get it because it's like a power thing. Like
Which-
once you
wait,
have
which
it.
locket?
Well,
Oh,
we still
the-
don't really know, but we have been thinking the opal locket is the Heir of Slytherin locket, which is the same one that Malfoy saw in the
that's what it
store,
is.
which
That's a good
Dumbledore thought
idea.
it was. We don't know
No.
for sure, right? They're kind of two separate.
They were
right?
different, yeah.
Oh, is that confirmed? Because
Yeah,
I
because
was
I
like,
think one was gold and the other one was opal.
yeah, the
So I
opal
think-
one was the Slytherin one,
Yeah.
and the one
I thought that
in
was the
Borgin
ring.
and Burke's was gold. But I thought that could have been her being clever to be like, well, it's gold and opal. Just like the
thought
ring is a
opal was
gold
a
ring with a
stone.
black stone.
Yeah.
So-
it could be.
Wait, isn't opal a stone?
It is. Opal is a stone.
So why can't it be gold with it?
No, it could. And it could be like a lot of lockets. It's like it's got a front part, but it opens up. And the fact that it opens makes me think like it releases a Horcrux. Because maybe a Horcrux is a thing that's like a ghost that like wreaks havoc on
It's
stuff.
like a ghost inside of an object.
And you're like, yeah, it's like trapped in there. You're like, cause chaos, but then as soon as you want the chaos to
like a
stop, you
genie.
just close the locket. Because I did think the Horcrux was physical, but maybe a Horcrux is a name for the object, but also for the thing that goes out and attacks. That's more your thestral theory.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing the genie from Aladdin.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking of.
Yep. You rub the lantern, Horcrux pops out. But that's the only thing I could think of, unless it's like not as extreme as we think it is. Because then Harry could have come across something. Like the Sorcerer's Stone could be like, yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. We'll talk about this in a bit. But welcome to the podcast. I'm John.
Jen.
Danny?
And Kristen.
This is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. Hey everyone, thanks again for listening to the podcast. Thanks for all your support. Here's the typical list of everything that we have. I'm a little sick, so the podcast is a day late, so sorry about that. But follow us on our subreddit, r/first time readers. Our Gmail is firsttimereaders@gmail.com. And like on a side note for our Gmail, just send us a note if you enjoy the podcast. If like you're an audio engineer and just have tips for making the podcast sound better, send me those. Anything like that. Just send me any little tidbits that you have. I would love to just read those. We also have our Instagram that's kind of new, and it's just at First Time Readers. Our Twitter, First I'm Readers. Our Patreon is First Time Readers. Go support us on Patreon. That'd be awesome. We also have YouTube memberships now. So if you want to become a YouTube member, you can become a Hot Tamale and officially join the Hot Tamales of our YouTube channel, which is just becoming a member of our YouTube channel. But thanks for your support and all the ways that you guys support this podcast. I have said it for the past, probably the entire book, but we do have merch coming out soon. I just talked to our designer and he's hopefully getting them in the next day or two, he said. So I'm hoping that we have merch that we can sell in the next like
week or so, if I could put that together. So thank you as always for your support for this podcast, and I hope you enjoy these chapters 17 to 19 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
I always pick the best times to do that.
Yeah, I
sneeze?
know. It's like a yawn.
Oh, okay.
A yawn sneeze.
But it was perfect timing.
We are going through chapter 17, 18, and 19. I don't have that many questions for this one, so this podcast is going to go much quicker than the rest of them. I'm just kidding. They never go quicker. But let's go to chapter 17. Give me a summary of a sluggish memory.
I'm going to take it.
Oh, yeah, sure. I thought you didn't have any.
No, I do. I just don't
Oh, nice.
remember. I don't remember what I read now.
Right. I get it.
All right, Christmas is over and everyone is back at Hogwarts. Harry has another lesson with Dumbledore where we get 2 more memories from the pensive. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Pensieve?
I say pensive. Some of us, Danny says pensive every once in a
Okay.
while. I say pensive every
I was
once in
going
a
to say
while.
pensive.
Yeah. You can say
And
however
the
you want.
pensive.
Perfect. At the beginning of this chapter, they were talking a little bit about what is going on with Malfoy. Harry kind of gives Hermione all the details about what's happening with that. Do you guys have any other thoughts or theories on that? About what Malfoy was talking to Snape about and what he's doing?
I don't know. I'm still leaning towards trying to kill Harry, but slightly less so now. Because I feel like he had opportunities.
Or stopping, what's his name? Dumbledore?
Stopping Dumbledore?
Which would seem ridiculous, so.
Well, part of what I'm thinking is that the poison in Slughorn's thing was from Malfoy. And if it was from Malfoy, was it intended for Slughorn? Or Harry? Or Ron? Or Dumbledore? Or someone else? We don't know. It's hard to say.
You're talking about the mead.
Yeah, the barrel-aged mead.
It was intended for someone else, not Slughorn.
It could. We don't know.
Yeah.
I think we are led to believe somebody wanted to kill Dumbledore. But then I think it was Fred and George who said whoever it was might have just known that Slughorn was a man of fine taste. So I don't know what we're supposed to think, but we really just don't have enough information. We don't know how Slughorn even got his hands on this thing. If he went to the store and was like, "Give me your finest mead," and I'm going to give it to my friend Dumbledore, then like that makes it pretty clear. Someone could have been like, "Oh, here, take this mead," and it's poison, you know? But he also could have gotten it from a friend, and maybe the intention was to poison his friend, and he just accidentally took a poison mead without even knowing. Or maybe it was he's buying a bunch of alcohol for his party some other day, and then it was intended for Slughorn to be killed. Or maybe it was the whole time there thinking it's going to be part of that party because he did have his whole party. Oh, that's 3 months ago now. I don't know if that's relevant, but it could have been to try and kill a bunch of people at the party.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take that to mean anything solid. It's just a general idea of like a possibility.
And Hermione talks about it. Whoever is doing it is reckless. It's more dangerous than someone who's being calculated because she's like, anybody can die to get to this one person. So we'll talk about who you think is doing it maybe in a bit. But here are some lines in the beginning of this chapter, which are kind of lovely. He accused me of being Dumbledore's man through and through. How very rude of him. I told him I was. Dumbledore opened his mouth to speak and then closed it again. Behind Harry, Fawkes the Phoenix let out a slow, soft, musical cry. To Harry's intense embarrassment, he suddenly realized that Dumbledore's bright blue eyes looked rather watery, and he stared hastily at his own knees. When Dumbledore spoke, however, his voice was quite steady. I am very touched, Harry. And then this is another line.
Oh, so cute.
I know, it was an adorable little line. So they still don't know where you go, asked Harry, hoping for more information on an intriguing subject. But Dumbledore merely smiled over the top of his half-moon spectacles. No, they don't. And the time is not quite right for you to know either. Now I suggest we press on, unless there's anything else. Where does Dumbledore go? And what do you think about the relationship that Harry and Dumbledore have?
You ask this every time. I'm like, I don't
I'm just
know.
like curious if you guys have new theories brewing, you know?
No, I know. I wish I did.
This felt more real than normal. I like that Dumbledore seemed to be getting frustrated with Harry. Dumbledore is usually so controlled, it feels fake. But here, he actually got frustrated. He's like, I've been tolerant enough to answer that question already. But he didn't sound very tolerant anymore. My answer has not changed. So he's being more stern. And it helped like humanize him a little bit. So I was happy to see that. I feel like the relationship is actually a good one. It feels normal. There's like a give and take. Even though Harry still respects Dumbledore a lot, but he still gets frustrated with him and he can express that. And I like the relationship. It feels good.
Why isn't Dumbledore telling Harry everything? Again, another question I ask all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. He does keep him in the dark an awful lot.
But I think it's because he can be read easily. Don't you think? If he had too much information from Dumbledore, Voldemort could just like, oh, let's see what Harry's up to. And if he has any secrets from Dumbledore.
Yeah, could there be something about this? This
how,
connection
like,
is not gone yet.
And all those stories or other like murder movies, they're like, I can't tell you because it's better for you not to know the information.
Plausible deniability.
That word, yeah.
Because he seems to know, obviously, a little bit more than Harry. Because this is another line that we get. Dumbledore listened to Harry's story with an impassive face. When Harry had finished, he did not speak for a few moments, then said, "Thank you for telling me this, Harry, but I suggest that you put it out of your mind. I do not think that it is of great importance." "Not of great importance," repeated Harry incredulously. "Professor, did you understand?" "Yes, Harry. Blessed as I am with extraordinary brain power, I understood everything you have told me," said Dumbledore a little sharply. I think you might even consider the possibility that I understood more than you did. Again, I'm glad that you have confided in me, but let me reassure you that you have not told me anything that causes me disquiet. Why is Dumbledore not alarmed at the things that Harry's saying? What is the story behind the story that Dumbledore knows that Harry doesn't?
I don't know, but I feel like it's connected to what Hagrid overheard, which doesn't come up until the next chapter. But Hagrid overheard Dumbledore and Snape kind of arguing over something, and we don't know the whole story, but just like there is clearly something between Dumbledore and Snape that we just don't understand right now. And we don't really know what it is, but it feels like Harry is all worried and Dumbledore is like, "Don't worry, Harry.
Yeah.
It's fine." And Harry just can't accept that. And that's kind of
because he's
been the
not really
vibe for a
giving
long
him.
time. But you're right. He hasn't given him much.
Like, if you want someone to calm down, you give them reasonings behind why. And he doesn't do that.
Yeah, he's not giving him too much.
Just give him a little bit more. He's giving him nothing.
I know. It's annoying because he's giving him like the memories here and he's answering some of his questions, but he's not answering the ones that Harry really, really cares about. Like Dumbledore's almost answering his own questions, the ones that he thinks are important. And the ones that are in Harry's mind, the ones that he thinks are important, Dumbledore kind of pushes off as being less important than what he's dealing with.
Yeah.
So do you think that the issues that Harry is dealing with, do you think they're actually less important than what Dumbledore is talking about? Or do you think Dumbledore just doesn't want to reveal certain things to Harry?
Man, honestly, I think it could be either. I think Dumbledore knows that Harry just can't keep to himself.
Yeah.
And maybe Dumbledore knows, like, hey, Harry's pointing out something significant. Like, he's saying, I might have... All right, Kristen?
What was closer than I thought?
Yeah. So he's maybe saying, Dumbledore's like, I might have understood this better than you did. And it's not causing me disquiet. But also it might be making Dumbledore rethink something, but just not admitting it to Harry. Because if he says anything to Harry, Harry's obviously not going to listen to him and just going to act on his own, whatever he wants to do. At least it seems that way. So maybe Dumbledore knows he just can't give Harry too much. Or maybe this is all part of a bigger lesson of just, he says, Harry, don't do this. You know, maybe he's got to learn trust. He's got to learn something. I can't tell. We get mixed signals from Dumbledore. Sometimes he leaves things just a little bit.
Yeah.
He wants Harry to use his little mischievous self to go figure things out. I don't think that's what's happening here. But even Hagrid telling him he overheard something,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's almost too convenient.
Yeah.
Part of me thought, did Dumbledore say, hey, Hagrid, can you go just drop this little hint? Maybe. I mean, Harry's got Muffliato. I don't think Dumbledore's out
For
there in
sure.
the woods spilling secrets.
With Snape, someone that.
And let alone, like, Hagrid heard him. But what else is in the forest? We got these little, like, critters in trees, or we got
Voldemort
trolls.
used to live in the forest.
Yeah. I don't know what unicorns can do or whatever else, but, like, you got a lot of spells. So, like, the ear things that you can go from a distance.
Yeah, right.
Centaurs out there in the woods. So there's just too much going on. I'm like, it's so convenient that Dumbledore would expose that. He's too smart for that. If there are conversations that other people shouldn't be hearing, nobody's going to hear it.
Yeah.
So whether he told Hagrid to share it or whether he knew Hagrid was there and he's just letting it play out naturally because he knows how it will, I don't know, but that's the vibe I got. I think of Dumbledore as being very in control still. Maybe I'm just hopeful, but I don't know. Did you read it as Dumbledore being in control?
I don't know. I don't think I think that way either, though. So I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah, I don't know. Harry's gonna Harry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's gonna be mischievous. He's gonna start doing his thing.
But he also, it's like if he has something on his mind, he's not going to stop until he figures out what that is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it sounds like, Danny, you trust Dumbledore more, but Jen, do you not trust Dumbledore quite as much?
I did. I think I do. I don't know. I think he's just trying to be secretive with certain things. So, like, I think you can trust him, but I don't think Harry's going to know everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think it's a little different
Yeah.
because he wants to keep certain things away from Harry because he's not ready. Or maybe he knows Harry too well. And he's like, if I say this, he's going to go do a mission on his own. So, I'm not going to tell him yet.
Because that is Harry's personality. He will just go do things on his own. Which is probably why he doesn't tell. Like, is that a possibility for why Dumbledore is not telling Harry where he's going? Because if maybe he knew, then Harry would just be like, try to do whatever he's doing by himself. So maybe that gives you an indication for what Dumbledore is actually doing.
No.
If
trying
he
to
was,
find
if
Voldemort.
Dumbledore was doing something that Harry could also do potentially or help with, wonder what that would mean. Still wonder what he's doing. I'm assuming he's going out collecting memories.
Oh, yeah, that did seem like it in one of these chapters. I forget which one. He's like, it took me a long time to get. Oh, that was in this chapter, right? The sluggish memory?
Yeah,
long
but it was
time.
Morphin's memory, right? That was the one that was a little coagulated, and it was like, oh,
Maybe.
do these memories
I don't know.
age? Interesting. How long ago was that? When did Morphin die? Did he die? Nobody's dead till they're dead in this book. But
Dead.
dead. You know what is weird? That man, I got so many stinking notes. Why did Mrs. Weasley sob
Shocker.
harder than ever when she said goodbye to Harry? Random. Also, flu powder, which means I think she knows something that Dumbledore might know about the challenges Harry's going to face. Flu powder right to McGonagall's office. So there's no apparition. But again, just confirming that like students could just take the flu network right into Hogwarts. Feels like a vulnerability, but
That's only for a little bit of time.
what, there was a window of opportunity?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like they opened up the flu network just for a period of time so that they can go in. Just like in the next chapter for apparition, they open this little window for only an hour.
Oh,
Or
yes.
something like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because
so they're in control.
this is always our thing too.
Yeah.
Like, why don't they have an emergency network so when something bad happens, everyone just goes in a chimney and they go back to their home immediately? They can do something like this, but it's not really they open these portals that often.
Right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Right. And I'm surprised they weren't doing that in previous books when they maybe should have.
Yeah, I know.
But okay, that makes sense.
She thought of it.
Abstinence, weird password for
What an appropriate password for
Right?
these
Yep.
chapters.
They're like watching all the kids. They're this is what
Yeah.
the password's going to be.
Yep.
This is the right password for the time.
Weird that paintings can drink. Because then if
can have a
someone
good
in a
time, too.
painting wanted something, they got all endless
Yeah.
time, right?
Just kidding.
You could just paint it in for them.
Yeah.
You're like, anything they want. You could just be like, oh, that's what
That's
you
kind
need.
of cool,
Yeah.
actually.
Boop, boop, boop.
I had never thought of that. But does that wine replenish?
What if
Right,
it's
like,
a
does it
really
actually
bad
go away?
painter?
Where does
Is
it
like gonna
go?
be nasty wine?
Again, like how big is this world of paintings? Like we
Yeah.
already know they can jump to other paintings. So anyways, feels like a mild vulnerability, but it's cool. Wan is getting to be a bit much.
Yeah.
Lavender with her Wan. Ooh.
If what was the line in this one? If Ron started calling her Lav, he was gonna have to draw the line there.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
I also don't think I realized that Harry is one of the youngest in his class. He's one of
Yeah.
the last to turn whatever age. So we're not even going to see him legally apparate in this book because he won't get to until the next book, July 31st.
But Ron can.
Huh.
Ron is very excited about it. What would your guys' preferred mode of transportation be? If you can transport in any way in the wizarding world. We've had like Flu Network, Side by Apparition, Brooms, Thestrals, Hippogriffs.
I think brooms. I just
Yeah.
think they'd be so fun.
Magic carpets. You can do magic carpets too. We've got
Yeah,
that.
that would be
do
great.
that.
I would love a good
Brooms
magic
sound
carpet.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
There's
true.
cushioning
the cushion
charms on
charms,
brooms,
but how
So
good
that
are
makes
they?
it more
you
comfortable.
know?
But there's also like seat covers for bikes.
Yeah, that's true.
Not very.
And still, that is not enough.
Depends on
At
who
least
does
for
the
me.
shield charm.
I think if I had to choose one though, it'd
Cushioning
be
charm.
Apparition. It's just so good. It's so quick. It's like the movie Jumper.
Yeah,
Oh,
and weather
that's a
doesn't
great
even
movie.
matter.
I know.
Yeah.
Remember the weather when
Yeah.
Harry was escorted?
Yeah,
Oh.
you're right. Oh man, it would get cold.
Or it was
And trying to
freezing?
cover
no
distance.
way. If it's
Yeah.
cold, forget it.
Hmm.
I would die.
Did you ever ride your bike in really, really cold weather? Your motorcycle?
Yeah,
That's
Well,
probably the most
gonna be
miserable
painful.
thing.
because whenever I'm always optimistic about many things like the weather or oh yeah, I'll leave on time, but then I'll like go somewhere and then it gets dark and it's later and whatever, and then I'm going home in the dark and it's cold. But the coldest I ever did was 26 degrees. Not wise for the sake of there could be frozen water, also known as ice, slippery, bad on a motorcycle. But it is so frigid. It like burns your face. And then I switch hands so that I can keep one close to the engine to warm it up. And I'm just like, yeah, it is not ideal. So I can't even imagine being on a
Yeah.
broom up in the
That
sky.
ride wasn't that long.
Nah, it wasn't long. It was but like 15 minutes. And that's like it's like any good old mental battle where you're like counting the seconds for it to be over and you're like, this will come to an end eventually. there is an end to this. I will survive this, I think.
And then it is one of the best feelings in the world when you get home and
sing
you can
the
actually
song.
warm up. Like you just go in a hot shower or
So
something
good.
like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So these are the memories that happen too. So they jump into this, and this is one of the lines that Dumbledore is kind of briefing Harry on some stuff. And he says, I believe it was then that he dropped the name Forever, assumed the identity of Lord Voldemort, and began his investigations into his previously despised mother's family. The woman whom, you will remember, he had thought could not be a witch if she had succumbed to the shameful human weakness of death. Then he says, we have no memories to show us this, but I think we can fairly be sure of what happened. Voldemort stupefied his uncle, took his wand, and proceeded across the valley to the big house over the way. There he murdered the Muggle man who had abandoned his witch mother and for good measure his Muggle grandparents, thus obliterating the last of the unworthy Riddle line and revenging himself upon the father who never wanted him. Then he returned to the Gaunt hovel, performed a complex bit of magic that would implant a false memory in his uncle's mind, laid Morphin's wand beside its unconscious owner, pocketed the ancient ring he wore, and departed.
That's a bunch of baloney.
Time out, really? That's my question was, is this a real memory or is this a fake memory?
I expect nothing less from you.
Sorry, Jen, what do you think about this?
No, I was just wondering about the timing because when you were saying the
Horcruxes? You just like started it and then just like faded away.
Because I, you know me with these words.
Yeah.
What the timing was
With the timing.
is that what the ring, this memory, was he going back to school then and asking Slughorn about this? Because was that the same year? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Like did he ask these questions first and then he went? Or
the opposite.
He gets the ring, realizes it is a Horcrux somehow because it whispers in his ear, "I'm a Horcrux, let me out." And then
wait, so you think the ring is a Horcrux?
Well, here's the thing.
What the heck would a Horcrux be?
Only because his theory of what he was saying, and then I was trying to would the timing be right of when he asked Slughorn? Because he was still in school, wasn't he, when he went to visit the riddle, if this actually is true.
Yeah, which is actually terrifying.
Yeah, I know.
Thinking about that.
And it's terrifying. He's very disturbed child that needs help. And this is really disgusting.
Yeah.
If this memory is true.
I'm curious why Morphin has this knife again. It feels weird.
Wait, where did that even? Okay.
No, it can
Danny's obsessed with the smallest little objects.
It connects. Well, also, like, if you just randomly show up to someone's house. If you just show up to someone's house, you're just like, he's got a knife randomly one day.
But that wasn't even brought up right now.
The next day? No. Now here's the connection. My thought is, first of all, it was a bloody knife last time. It didn't say bloody this time, but he's holding a knife. I'm assuming it's the same one. What if the ring is a Horcrux and a Horcrux is somehow activated by blood and that's why he keeps the knife? Otherwise, a wizard doesn't need a knife for anything. It's dumb. So the knife is like a way that he can be like, oh, blood oath, quick, boom, boom, doing a little bloody thing. I don't know what you would do with a knife.
But he wasn't wearing it last time. His dad was wearing it.
His dad was wearing the ring and he got it?
Yes.
But it was a bloody knife. Why was it so bloody?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Because he's also disturbed, which is why he's disturbed. It falls into the genes.
Yeah, that's so true.
But then you're talking about this ring being a Horcrux. What the heck? Why? What is that?
What I was thinking was it's how you control somebody. Like it's so
pure,
rather
one ring to rule them all.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why it's not in the books anymore, because it was maybe a pure blood power, and now they can't really talk about it because it's racist or whatever.
Or maybe there aren't really any pure blood lines anymore, and it only works as long as the line is pure.
What the?
But it ended with riddles. Anyways, no. So what about this? But what I was thinking is,
Dumbledore had it. Then he's pure blood.
But it didn't do anything with Dumbledore, though.
Wait,
or
doesn't someone have it? Malfoy had. No.
We don't know who has the ring. It was on the table, and then it wasn't.
Okay.
It's gone. Maybe Malfoy stole it. We think maybe. But what I was thinking was,
answer my freaking question.
Here's the thing, John. It was, what does the ring do? And
Yeah.
I think it controls somebody.
Okay.
So if Voldemort takes the ring off Morphin, he gets to control Morphin. It's like an Imperious curse without the curse. And maybe the curse could be trapped.
Is that what he was doing to
Maybe
his
it would
daughter?
show up. I wasn't even thinking about all that, but I was just thinking that Morphin actually did kill the Riddles under the control of the ring. And so if Tom Riddle steals the ring and then makes him go up and kill it, I just didn't like that Dumbledore was like, obviously, I think this is what happened. I'm like, Dumbledore, you're in Sherlock Holmes mode. You don't just say like, obviously this happened. Nothing happened unless we know it happened. We need facts. We need memories. And all of a sudden he's just like,
Haven't you
I think
learned?
it's pretty clear that I'm like, literally.
No. Danny needs facts and memories.
Yeah. But Dumbledore is just, it was too convenient. You can't just skip over all that and be like, I think it's pretty clear. No, it isn't, Dumbledore. It's only clear when we know that it's clear. So
Mr. Detective lawyer.
It's a
I would love
possibility.
Danny getting private lessons from Dumbledore.
It's a possibility, but we can't say for sure. So even
He would get kicked out. He'd be like, I'm done with you.
Yeah, I'd be worse than Harry. Yeah,
Why?
for sure.
Why? He'd be like a toddler. But why?
But why, Dumbledore? I'm just thinking, even if maybe Voldemort just did the Imperious Curse, maybe Morphin could resist, but maybe not. And then maybe he really did kill those people. And
Who did?
a Morphin. And then there was a memory charm. But I guess part of the thing is, does it matter whether Morphin or Voldemort killed those people? Maybe it doesn't. But the only
but-
other curveball would be if the polyjuice got brought into this at some point, and some of the dead people are not the people we think they
what
are.
was the book that we read and it opened up with the scene of them being all dead?
I think that was
Book
the
4.
third. Oh, 4. Okay.
And so wasn't that from Voldemort? I thought that was from Voldemort's point of view, memory.
So
Because
No. Oh,
Harry
memory.
was with the snake. What was it, Najiri or something?
yeah,
But that was after he came back and
Nagini,
all
right?
that stuff.
Yeah, but yeah,
Only
that
'cause he
memory
needed
wasn't
bone of
the
the
memory
father,
of them
though.
killing him. They killed the housekeeper.
Yeah, but what were they talking about? They
They
were
just-
talking
yeah.
about it?
They talked about it in brief. They just made mention that no one goes to that house because it's like haunted.
But I
because
thought
the
he
three
saw.
people-
Oh, he didn't see that. He only saw the
Yeah.
killing of the. Okay.
Yep.
Mhm. But it was all, everything they were referencing is this stuff. But I think there was just a big gap there. We don't even know how long, but pretty long. I guess we kind of could do some math. Assumed math.
You guys can do the math. Thank you.
No facts and numbers here. Come on.
But Jen, what do you think?
Of what?
What does the ring do? Does the ring have power?
Oh my! You just went on like a 10-minute tangent. Like, what do you think?
So you guys think the ring is a Horcrux in some way, but what does that actually mean? What does the ring do if the ring is a Horcrux? Or you guys even mentioned the locket?
It feels like it has some kind of power. What power that is, I have no idea.
Ancient magic.
Exactly.
And I think the idea that old things have power, like ancient magic, but things have been passed down. So
You guys made fun of me so much, but now it makes so much
it
sense.
does. But like something that's been passed down from generation to generation through like a strong line of wizards, would that absorb some of their power, and kind of be like, this is picking up some essence of wizard here. And maybe that's part of what it is. Like if people die or something, I don't know if it's this bloody knife or whatever else, like you can, I don't know, put your power into this ring so that your future generations can kind of hold on to some of your power.
So like it passes down from generation to generation.
I'm thinking
through
that's the
this
only way
ring.
because it rightfully would be Voldemort's after Morphin anyway. And I'm thinking that, well, I don't know the whole deal with Dumbledore taking it and how
Who's
that happened.
also the one that bought the necklace off the daughter and it got for really cheap because he knew it was very valuable.
Borgin and Burks. He knew right away.
Yeah. So that's why I'm wondering, like,
how
it
do you
has to
know?
have some kind of power. Maybe it has some emblem or symbol or
Or just
maybe
an aura about it. Like, ooh, this is one of those necklaces. It's a Horcrux necklace.
maybe
Yeah,
that's why
maybe.
they don't
I
talk.
think for someone like Borgin, like he would just know. He's like, those antique dealers, those
Yep.
antique roadshows. They like look at something, and they're like, "Oh, this is worth $4 million because it's this and this and this."
Yeah.
And you
I
can
feel
tell
like he
from this
would do
tiny
that.
little thing with a magnifying
Yeah,
glass
exactly.
that it's not the cheap, worthless one. It's actually super
The real
special.
one.
Yeah. Huh.
Pure blood power. Maybe there's
Pure
blood in
blood
it.
power.
Like you're obsessed with.
But
What do you guys think of Voldemort
Maybe.
though? He is a little scary and terrifying. If this stuff is
little.
actually
I was
real.
just gonna say a little,
That was an understatement.
little bit.
Big time.
it's scary that he's so smart and so manipulative.
And it calls him
Ugh.
handsome a lot too, which is another weird descriptor, but he's charming
Oh.
in a crazy way.
Hmm.
And he's even charming as a snake looking man.
He's even charming in the movies when he comes out of that
You got
pot.
Jen.
Good
Instantly.
looking snake bald guy.
This is another one
if
that
the
I
ring
even
helps
wanted
with
to
that.
mention because I think this one doesn't really answer, but it helps answer the question that all of us are having for why people are actually following Voldemort. And this is the line. They were a motley collection, a mixture of the weak seeking protection, the ambitious seeking some shared glory, and the thuggish gravitating toward a leader who could show them more refined forms of cruelty. In other words, they were the forerunners of the Death Eaters, and indeed, some of them became the first Death Eaters after leaving Hogwarts. I think that is exactly what Death Eaters are. You see the weak in like Pettigrew, seeking someone to protect them. You see people, the ambitious, seeking some shared glory, which I feel like is the Malfoys, and then you see the thuggish gravitating toward a leader who could show them more refined forms of cruelty. I think that's what you get in like Bellatrix and the werewolf. So I feel like that's a good descriptor for
Yeah.
who is actually why people are following him.
Yeah.
But what does he promise them?
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
And that's the other thing. He's so deceptive
Because
because
like
all these
some
people think he's
leaders
his
would be
friends.
like money or
Hmm.
power and stuff. So like, what is it for them?
Well, maybe
it is
that's what a
power.
Horcrux is.
Maybe
It's
it's
the
power?
ability to control people.
But it doesn't exist anymore, or it's not mentioned anymore.
Well, because it's too powerful. Because if
It got out of control.
maybe, and well, maybe that's why it's like an ancient thing. Like Salazar back in the day is like, yeah, I'm trying to build a school, trying to rally people. Let's make a Horcrux, start convincing people to donate to Hogwarts or whatever things he had going on. And then he passes it down to keep his family powerful so that it gives extra influence. And so
That's the other thing that's weird. They don't talk about any other house having something passed down.
well, we do know the Sword of Gryffindor.
Oh.
But that's the only other thing. I don't think we've heard anything Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw yet. But that could exist. We just don't know. I'm trying to think if the same vibe. Like, what if the Sword of Gryffindor was also a Horcrux? And then when Harry had it, he killed a basilisk. Did he do anything else to influence people or rally people to his side? Anything that would give us indication
I wonder
that,
if it just boosts your power, though.
like, whatever you want to do in general just gives you a boost?
Yeah.
Level up. So the more Horcruxes
Level
you
up.
collect, the more powerful you become.
But did it go bad when Dumbledore put it on? Like, is it he's maybe too powerful? So like that's what corrupted
cracked?
his. Yeah. Because
It did
you
crack.
get it.
Cracking is weird.
Yeah.
Wait, but yeah,
Maybe
how
the
did
wrong.
Dumbledore get
Maybe
it?
it has to be a certain owner, and if they have the wrong owner, it cracks.
Right, and that's why Voldemort could have it because he was in the line of Slytherin.
Oh,
but-
true.
Why do you guys? Why are you guys thinking that Horcruxes are objects?
Because someone started it.
Yeah, it gives me tangible vibes.
I told you I thought it was a spell thing at first.
And I still think it could be a ghosty type of thing, a creature of some kind, a really scary creature. But even if it is, there's got to be like there. It seems like there's always a physical thing. If it's like a potion, you have to brew something and it has an effect.
Wait, is there
or, like-
actually something in the book that said it was a physical thing?
No,
with all your
that's not.
notes?
It doesn't say that. It just Voldemort asks about it in the plural, and in the book Hermione mentions it's singular. So there are multiple of these things, and it's just the name of it. It doesn't feel ethereal. It doesn't feel fluffy, but it could be. But it just, to me, the name sounds harsh. Horcruxes. That's like something about that name just sounds like menacing.
It's like when Dwight is
And, like,
talking about the
ugh.
menacing words, not
Muck
muck duck. So they call it murder, not muck duck.
Yeah, so it just gives me physical vibes. But it also wouldn't surprise me that much if it was an evil spirit that kills people. But like a creature, not something with like intentionality, more like just a
It's like what is
death thing, an angel of
the
death.
loss? Is what is it? The mist or something like that?
Yeah, that like dark smoky thing. Yeah.
the smoke.
Oh, like in Lost is what you were saying?
Yeah,
Oh, got it. I lost that.
lost that. This was the second memory. Unless Danny, you want to talk about the first?
No, it's
Oh,
good.
Dumbledore took from an inside pocket another crystal phial, and Harry fell silent at once, remembering that Dumbledore had said it was the most important one he had ever collected. Harry noticed that the contents proved difficult to empty into the pensive, as though they had congealed slightly. Did memories go bad? So do memories go bad? That's one question.
Yeah, they do.
Why did this memory go bad?
Oh man, I didn't even put it together. I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking it was age, but it makes more sense that it was because Horace tried to like manipulate it, so it started congealing because it wasn't pure. But maybe it's both. Maybe in time it might congeal and eventually harden, and then you can't stir it around in a pensieve, in a pensieve, in a pensive. I don't know. But he tampered with it. And maybe that's why it was congealing. And the more pure it looks, the more pure it is.
And then what happened in the memory? Not like you don't have to give me a detailed description, but like, why is the memory the way it is? Is it only because he's concealing the memory, or is it because of something else?
I don't know, but basically, it's really simple. The memory is just Voldemort wearing his ring back at school, and we just know he's charming everybody. He knows more about Hogwarts than anybody, the teachers and everything. And he asks Slughorn, "What are Horcruxes?" And then it goes into this foggy thing of like smoke that we just didn't know in the memory. And then Dumbledore explains that he tampered with it, which I took to mean that Slughorn basically dubbed over his memories with like a cheesy little dubbed thing of what he wished he said. Like, oh, see how good I am? He asked about it, and I was like, you don't need to know about Horcruxes. Yeah. They're bad. Go away, evil student. And we obviously know that isn't what happened because he feels so guilty about it. But we don't know what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't even know. I don't think we have any of that like real solid. But we're kind of led to believe that. Makes sense. That's what I'm thinking.
It also was really funny to me because the exact way that Tom is trying to get this memory from Slughorn, or no, not the exact way that Tom was trying to get information about Horcruxes of Slughorn is the exact same way Danny was talking about how to get to Slughorn a few podcasts ago.
Oh yeah,
he was
nice.
like, you bring him something that he really likes, you go privately after like a party or something like that. I'm like, oh well, Danny is acting
he's
like,
in a good mood.
mood.
And I totally forgot about I think I forgot about the crystallized pineapple till like another one. But I thought Harry was going to use that. Oh man, I'm getting ahead of it, but Harry's just so sloppy.
Yeah.
He was as bad as Hermione or worse when Hermione was in Borgin and Burke's. But what I don't get and don't like is if I was in Harry's shoes, as soon as this ends, I'd be like, Dumbledore, Horcruxes, tell me everything right now.
Yeah.
Like that way he can go to Slughorn and say, hey, Slughorn, and try and like finesse him with other things. At the end of this chapter,
Dumbledore essentially like finishes memory and he's like, all right, well, bedtime. I don't think he wants to answer the question of what a Horcrux is.
He just like, boop, 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 go on, do your thing. But it's just felt so dumb from Harry's perspective to open with that because he showed all his cards. And then Slughorn knew immediately. And maybe it'll obviously play out in a different way than we expect. But I thought Harry should have asked more questions to Dumbledore. Yeah. And if he's going to go to Slughorn, finesse it. You know, try and do it some kind of good way. Don't just go in guns blazing, asking the question that is clearly a triggering question. That felt a little weird.
This was the line that we get for this memory too. Look sharp, Tom, said Slughorn, turning around and finding him still present. You don't want to be caught out of bed at hours, and you, a prefect. Sir, I wanted to ask you something. Ask away then, my boy. Ask away. Sir, I wondered what you know about Horcruxes. And it happened all over again. The dense fog filled the room so that Harry could not see Slughorn or Riddle at all. Only Dumbledore smiling serenely beside him. Then Slughorn's voice boomed out again, just as it had done before. I don't know anything about Horcruxes, and I wouldn't even tell you if I did. Now get out of here at once, and don't let me catch you mentioning them again. And this is what Dumbledore says later. And so for the first time, I am giving you homework, Harry. It will be your job to persuade Professor Slughorn to divulge the real memories, which will undoubtedly be our most crucial piece of information of all. So what is going on here and why is this important?
Does Dumbledore know what a Horcrux is? He must. He knows everything.
Yeah.
But this makes me doubt it a little bit.
Yeah, because maybe he doesn't know, so he's embarrassed that he doesn't know, so he's just shooing Harry on the way. But does he? I don't know.
I didn't think it at first. But when I read this now, I'm thinking Voldemort didn't need an answer. He could have just read his mind. He just needed it to come to the front of his mind. So he asks the question. And because Slughorn feels guilty, he probably said more than he should have. But he may not have said much. He might have just said enough. And then Voldemort might have been able to kind of pick his brain a little bit, get a little more information than Slughorn intended. And then he could go on his merry way. It just doesn't make sense why Dumbledore would send Harry to do this on his own instead of...
Because Harry, he likes Harry.
Yeah, he does, but what can
trophy.
Harry do that he can't do with Slughorn?
Well, someone said that you could do it yourself,
Phineas
and he goes,
Nigellus.
yeah. Who said it?
Phineas Nigellus.
One of his like portraits on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm so good with names.
And Dumbledore says, I wouldn't expect you to understand.
So Dumbledore has some plan that even his wise wall people don't get.
Maybe he
Why are
wants
you
to
doing this with
train
Harry?
Harry to like be slick with these things to get more information from people. Because maybe in the future he needs to get a memory from someone else. So this is just like training. Because Dumbledore's collecting memories.
Right.
And maybe someone doesn't like Dumbledore, but they would like Harry. And they would let him.
Yeah.
You're really believing me.
No, I'm just processing. Wonder how that could play out.
Well, let's keep talking about this in a second, but
Yeah.
let's go to chapter 18, birthday surprises.
Birthday surprises.
Unless, obviously, did you have anything else in the previous? We will talk about some of the stuff as we go, but Danny?
It's looking.
I guess it makes me question alterations to memories, only because at the end of this it said like something about rework the memory. It was very crudely done. Well, if anyone could do it uncrudely, it's probably Voldemort. So it made me question even Morphin's memories, because we already know Morphin literally doesn't remember what happened.
Yeah.
And what if Voldemort's really good at this and he makes a perfect memory that even Dumbledore can't tell is fake? So it just makes me say, okay, we have to now view memories as fallible. So
Yeah.
cautiously looking at memories. But yeah, I don't know. Secret reasons, crazy stuff.
Because that does even answer our question. We had a long time ago when we were talking
Yeah.
about memories. 'Cause
Yep.
we were talking about is the memory a pure memory, like an unfiltered memory that is like the perfect memory of what it was? Or is it just whatever is in your head?
Yep.
It seems to be whatever is in your head. So, birthday surprises, chapter 18.
Apparition lessons, underage drinking. Ron gets poisoned in a sense with love potion chocolates, and then gets poisoned in another sense with real poison in oak matured mead meant for somebody. And yeah, we just kind of find out Romilda Vane was probably the one with the love potion poison. And the chapter ends with what's going to happen to Ron as Harry thinks to throw the Bezoar in his mouth. So we assume he'll be okay, but suspenseful ending. If I was a kid in my bed getting read for a bedtime
People
story.
wanted me to finish us for only do these two so that you guys had a quick.
So we're on the suspense.
You thought Ron could be dead. It would have been cruel.
Sure would have been.
That would have been cruel.
I know. I love these chapters because there's so much hilarity mixed with terror. Like these chapters are so terrifying, and so there's so much information, and they're so serious. But there's the funny moments when Harry like flips Ron upside down because he's like love drunk, and Ron is still asking questions about Romilda Vane, like upside down.
Yep.
It's so funny, some of these moments. Like even when he goes to Slughorn's office and he's talking about where Romilda is. He's like, it's sick. It's so sick, but it's so funny at the same time. But this is one of the first lines in the chapter. Harry dawdled behind, taking an inordinate amount of time to do up his bag. Neither Ron nor Hermione wished him any luck as they left. Both looked rather annoyed. At last, Harry and Slughorn were the only two left in the room. So it obviously his method doesn't work. He was kind of stupid to try that. But how do you think Harry's going to get the memory? Do you think he's going to be able to get it at all?
I think he will. I don't know how, though. I don't think he's good enough to learn how to actually fish it out the way it seems like Dumbledore maybe could, or like, occlumency, legilimency. I feel like Slughorn's going to be better than him at all that. He might actually have to coax it out the old-fashioned way, charm him, but I don't know how, because he doesn't know what a
Wait,
Horcrux
charm
even
as in
is.
like
Nice.
magically charm him?
Oh, no, I
or
just
like,
meant with his personality, but
personality?
also magic. Yeah, he could use magic.
also, okay.
But what would he do, though?
And time out, too. Do you find it disturbing that do you think Harry could actually charm it out of him? Maybe that's
You
an
mean like
interesting
with a
question.
magical charm?
No, with like his
his
own
personality?
personal charm.
Yeah, I actually think he could.
Harry could?
but he's got to understand what
Yeah.
Slughorn wants.
Harry's not good at that.
No, I know he's not.
And that's one of the distinctions that Voldemort and Harry have. Voldemort is
Right.
a charmer,
Voldemort is charming.
and Harry doesn't necessarily seem like he's that much of a charmer. But
Yeah,
I
you're
guess
right.
he could possibly play into that a little bit.
Yeah.
If Harry really wanted to, I think he probably could.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
think it's
I feel like
his
he could.
reputation precedes him, so then he can charm people by living up to that expectation of that celebrity personality.
Yeah. If he could work that a little better. Will
Yeah,
he? I don't
because he
think
had
so.
it in the Wizard Cup thing,
Yeah.
and Slughorn does like him because of that.
But we just
And
don't know
so
enough
do-
about Slughorn.
All the girls.
Oh, yeah, true. What does Slughorn want?
Fame.
Crystallized pineapple.
Yeah, it's so simple. Just tons of pineapple. Apparently, nice
Give him
mead.
that bag.
Yeah. I think Slughorn just wants to be beside the famous people. Like the
Harry
puppeteer
does know a
almost.
bunch of like famous people, I guess, but not
He's
enough
one
that
of
like.
the most famous people
Yeah.
besides Voldemort, though.
Yeah, maybe. So maybe that is enough for Slughorn.
But that's what he should have like just charmed him without asking him anything yet. Like I could see him going to all the parties and like really
Yeah.
like brown nosing Slughorn with that because he wants him
But
around.
I guess I'm just thinking you need something more. It's like he can't just be like, please tell me, like puppy dog
No.
face.
I'm not saying like that.
No, I'm not saying you're even saying that. I'm just saying, how's he gonna work Slughorn? You know, like he's got to be a salesman here, or does he threaten him? Does he say the fate of the world is at stake? We need to understand this, and I need you to tell me. Does he talk about like Death Eaters? Does he make a bet with him? Hey, this whole thing's going on. How about we do this little wager, and if I win, you tell me what a Horcrux is. Like he's got to try different angles to get to it, but I don't know. Slughorn's pretty clammed up right now.
Should blackmail him somehow.
Yeah, like and what would be a weakness of Slughorn, you know?
Gotta find it. Take time.
But he's got this memory and it's been tampered with, and clearly Slughorn is self-conscious about it. Is that enough of a weakness? Is it like Slughorn's already scared Death Eaters are after him? Could Harry use that to be like, someone's on your tail here, but like we can work together. I can, you're exposed in this way, that way. Does Slughorn have kids? Is it like what does Slughorn care about? That's the thing. We don't know
Yeah.
enough. Except candy and
That's
mead.
interesting. I'm so fascinated by this right now.
And we just don't know if Slughorn is really good or bad yet, but this is the answer to the question of why Dumbledore wanted him here. And it might even be the answer to the question of why they want Slughorn killed. Because this memory has it. Dumbledore says it's the most important. Maybe because this information is ultimately like going to lead to Voldemort's downfall. So, but how? Why?
Yeah, again, we're trying to figure out what the Horcrux is, and this is one of the lines. Of the Horcrux, the wickedest of magical inventions, we shall not speak nor give direction. That's what Hermione found in that one book.
Could it be what Voldemort did though, where he like divided his body into like all different? I know we talked about this before. His spirit, like it was in a journal, and all the bits that were around.
Like when he died,
When
he
he
kind of like just
died.
his aura just like
Yeah.
dispersed or whatever it said.
Yeah,
And that
But what
aura
do you
went
mean,
into
though?
different like objects.
yeah. That's
So
what I
like the
mean.
Like
So-
accidentally or on purpose?
No. He like planned it that way. So like, could that be the whatever this thing is? Where it's like,
Oh, meaning like when he's asking this question, this was his first step on the path to immortality
yeah.
because he's gone farther than most. Maybe.
So that's what's making him immortal. Like his aura is in a bunch of these objects, these things.
I mean, I guess if you put
But
it
it has
into
to be, like,
an object,
power,
how do you
too.
like get it out though? The journal
he's
wasn't like really his
smart. I don't
aura.
know.
It was like a memory of him. But
I'm
yeah,
just
he is
saying,
smart.
Well,
yeah.
he was just saying that he doesn't even know how he came back, but all his pieces of his
He didn't even fully understand
spirit
it.
were
Yeah.
other places. I don't even know how to describe that, but
That's interesting.
And yeah, I'm curious.
and maybe
if
that
it
was what helped him figure out how to defeat mortality.
Like he was taking those steps to kind of set up
His insurance
journals and whatever. Yeah, he's like, I got this ring and a locket and whatever else that I'm gonna like put my little like
So,
pixie
But
dust
he
memories in or
he
something.
doesn't have it.
But-
does he?
do you
The
think
ring.
that how would he be defeated then if his aura is in like a lot of objects? How are they going to find these things? Couldn't it just be as simple as like
I
a
feel like
rock?
it's like a backup plan though.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
not.
but if they kill him, they need to get rid of his backup plans. His
But
plan B, C,
how would
D,
you know?
so-
It's in so many different places.
Yeah, that's a question.
right. So if
So
the
you
first
wouldn't
time
be
he's
able to.
defeated, it gets dispersed everywhere. Well, no, because the ministry's got a magic tracker. Well, maybe you could use that to like figure out where there's magic stuff, or you use a magic metal detector.
Maybe that's the point
There's
of
a
it.
Horcrux counter, you know,
Oh,
like,
the
yeah.
Horcrux.
Yeah.
It like disguises it.
Or maybe only certain objects could even be Horcruxes if that was a thing, like gold, for example. Well, that doesn't make sense.
Certain metals
The
or
Borgin
something.
and Burks guy knew the value of the locket, so maybe he already knew it had a capacity to be like a container for like whatever memories or like pieces of
Spirits.
something. But yeah, if
don't
Voldemort
know.
has a backup plan, they need to take care of it, and they would need to track down his steps to immortality before.
They like take him.
I was
on
going to say
head-to-head.
before they kill him, because if they kill him first, how do you know like what happens to his spirit then? That feels a little
But they
dicey.
all thought that he would died anyways. That's what I'm saying
Right.
though. Like maybe no one believes this. It's not in books anymore or anything
Yeah.
like that.
And that's why he might be
They're
the
like,
most
this
knowledgeable
says
person
it
about
could be
it.
this powerful thing, but no one's ever done it or tried it and like
Mhm.
killed themselves to see if it worked.
Oh yeah, you're right. How do you put that to the test?
So he tried it and then he got killed accidentally. And then it worked.
So step number 1, get rid of his dad's bones. There's plenty of blood of the enemy around, but there's only one bone of the father. Well, I guess however many bones a person has, minus
206,
1.
right?
So get rid of those bones, and then
Yeah, that was a trivia question.
huh. I don't know.
Interesting.
I wonder what Golpalot's first and second laws are.
What was the third one?
No idea.
Well, the third one was
It was
that.
confusing as anything.
No, it wasn't that confusing. So basically, the third law is stating that there is an antidote to every poison, which is greater than the sum of each part's antidote, which tells us that each.
Please keep going. I'm so intrigued. These two
No, no.
are like have disgusted
Yeah,
looks on their face.
His third law, which tells us that each ingredient has an opposing, an opposite
Yeah.
ingredient. So that's why Hermione had to put it into 10 different vials, because she could use the Specialis Revelio and get what each one is and then distill it, get it out. And then, but his third law is saying that the antidote is more than the sum of each part's antidote. So you take a potion apart or poison and you'd figure out what each ingredient is, and each one has its own antidote. Boom, 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 boom. You get 10 of them. But his third law is saying that's not enough. There needs to be more. The antidote needs to be more than the sum of its parts antidote. So how do you know? How do you know what the more is? I feel like his fourth law better explain the third a lot more.
That's why he picked the stone.
But yeah. And maybe the Bezoar is the thing. You throw that in
Yeah.
with the rest of the antidotes. But if it was that simple, I feel like he would have said it. But then I'm just curious. How do you know how to come up with an antidote if it's more than the sum of the parts?
Don't you love that was in Harry's first ever potions lesson?
Yep.
Snape talks about a Bezoar. You're like, wow, that comes all the way back to
great.
this. That's
Full
so cool.
circle.
I know. They are. Sorry, I'm trying to read my notes right here. Oh, they're trying to apparate. And this is something that happens. The second attempt was no better than the first. The third was just as bad. Not until the fourth did anything exciting happen. There was a horrible screech of pain, and everybody looked around, terrified, to see Susan Bones of Hufflepuff wobbling in her hoop, with her left leg still standing 5 feet away from where she had started. So she gets splinched, is what it's called.
Splinched.
That would be my worst fear.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
That would happen, and I would pass out immediately.
That's why I don't know if I would want to apparate.
That's why I was thinking that before. I'm like, it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
You could just like be where you're going, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Until you get where you're going and you don't have legs anymore.
Oh, goodness
Ew.
gracious.
That would be so difficult, though. Like, I wonder if you could get
What,
back.
not having legs?
Well, like, would it be painful,
Kind
or
of.
would you just be like a jelly bean on the other side, and you're like, how do I get back to
I
there?
feel like it's the panic that makes it scary.
What if you're walking around and you just see a pair of legs?
Yeah, I know, right? For us muggles, anytime you've seen something like that, it's someone who's gotten splinched and
Yep.
Ew. Ew.
Hmm.
No thanks.
Harry is obsessed at this point with Malfoy too. So I think the question for this is, where is Malfoy going? We've asked this before. What is he doing? Is he actually going off campus? Why does he not appear at certain times on the Marauders map? Where is he going? And is Malfoy the one that's causing these things to happen? Like at the end of the chapter when Ron is almost poisoned. Is it Malfoy, or is Malfoy too obvious of an answer and it's someone else? We'll talk about that one at the end. But where is Malfoy going?
I kind of don't think he's leaving the map. Harry never saw him in any of the corridors. It seems tough, but where would he be going? That is confusing me. I thought maybe the room of requirement appeared for him, and when you're in there, you don't show up on the map because the room might be like potentially not there.
Because the
Or
room does give you what you require. So maybe if
he
you require
requires
it not
to be
seen.
secret. Yeah. But Malfoy just might have some really advanced stuff. I mean, other locket things, or like, protective mechanisms, or there could be secret dungeons that somehow are not on the map. So like, if he had information from Salazar Slytherin, or like information about a location on the map that the Marauders didn't know about, would he show up on the map? Like just in an undrawn area, like boop, 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 his footprints? Or would it be like, no, that area isn't shown on the map, so if you're in that area, you're not on the map? I don't know. But I get the impression it's something going on in Hogwarts.
Interesting. Okay. But what is he up to?
No good.
A little of everything and all that.
I like when Harry goes, I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. Or at least Malfoy is.
Yeah.
It was weird when he was like bringing the other girls with him. Those like 2 girls, and
Yeah.
Harry was like, "What's the deal here?
Where did they come from?
And he didn't use their names. Like it's like
Yeah.
he didn't know them. Like the school's not that big. Shouldn't he know most of these people? He's a 6th year now. Like we didn't go to a very big high school, and by
Yeah.
the time we graduated, I
knew
felt like I
everyone.
knew everybody.
Yeah.
So if you've been somewhere for 6 years, it just felt weird.
Harry is a little dull sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
that's very fair. He gets caught up with a lot of random stuff, but I just thought it was odd. He's like these 2 scared-looking girls. I'm like, what?
What is he at? Yeah, do you guys actually know what he's up to? Do you have any theories for what he's up to?
Malfoy.
Yeah.
Kind of thinking he was poisoning the thing. I'm kind of thinking that was him with the mead, and it was done while it was on the shelf.
But is it taking him that long to put poison in the thing? Like, is he coming up with these plans? Because these plans don't seem like they take a lot of planning. It seems like he's just trying to do something. He like throws that out there as a thing.
Yeah. Maybe it took him a long time to brew the poison. So he's going to some hidden place down to Snape's office or something, and he's brewing some big poison that then he puts into the thing. Whatever he's doing does feel like it's taking more planning. He's building something. He's digging a secret tunnel. He's
Digging a secret tunnel.
Like, I wonder if spells are like
What is that
compounding.
movie?
Well, I'm thinking of Count of Monte Cristo as
Yeah,
one.
that's true. I was thinking of
he's digging a tunnel to
what's the movie they always
Dumbledore's
play
office, because in
on
Count of Monte
AMC?
Cristo, that's what he does.
it was a Stephen King novel. Why can't I think of the stupid name? It's like one of the most popular movies of all time.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great.
Great movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever he's doing, it's taking time. But but it'd be nice if Hufflepuff played Ravenclaw, and then Harry could actually follow Malfoy or see
Yeah,
what he's
I
up to, instead of choosing the sloppy way out with Dobby, Creature.
I know.
Just
boy.
get Creature out of this. What are you doing, Harry?
I know. That was so
Gracious.
stupid.
Like everyone's yelling at their books, probably like, "No, Harry, don't trust Creature. Obviously, don't be dumb."
Literally. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. This was another one of the lines that we have. Harry, said Ron suddenly. What? Harry, I can't stand it. You can't stand what? Asked Harry, now starting to feel definitely alarmed. Ron was rather pale and looked as though he was about to be sick. I can't stop thinking about her, said Ron hoarsely. Harry gaped at him. He had not expected this and was not sure that he wanted to hear it. Friends they might be, but if Ron started calling Lavender Lav, he would have to put his foot down. What do you think about this whole situation that happens with the love potion and on Ron's birthday?
It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I thought the whole thing was just silly and good and
Yeah.
whatever. It felt kind of harmless.
Yeah, it was like the
was
comedic element to
funny.
this.
Yeah.
I thought it was Hermione at first, though. Like, I thought he was going to profess his love for his friend. And then I was like, what? And then I thought it was the lady at the...
Oh, at the brewery or at the, what, one of those,
It
yeah.
was Myrta.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
is that who he's, like, obsessed with all of a sudden? And then he clarified for me.
Well, it was cute when he was in the hospital wing. Hermione's quiet for the whole thing. The first time she chimes in, Ron goes, Hermione.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know he loves her.
So you know.
I feel like you kind of do a little bit.
Maybe.
Because he's hearing everyone else's
Subconscious
voices, like,
speaking.
yeah, his subconscious. Then all of a sudden Hermione pops up in his subconscious and he's like, oh, hello.
I like that voice.
Whoa,
That's the one I want. Can you guys have imagined if Ron died here? Because she was thinking about killing off a character and she was thinking about killing off Ron. And some people say that this is where she was going to do it, but then she veered off in a different direction.
She waited till book 7.
Mm.
No, please, no.
Maybe.
Or the end of this book. It would feel silly unless this poison was a big deal. It would just feel so haphazard. If Ron dies, I really hope it's protecting the people that he loves, not a random accidental poison drinking. And I probably think that Harry, even Ron, certainly all the professors, definitely Dumbledore should have a cupbearer of some kind to, at least use some magic on their things they're eating and drinking.
Who
so
would
they're
his
not-
cupbearer be? Is he just killing elves, house elves?
Well, that'd be interesting because
Creature
the
has
poisons
to.
maybe would react differently to a house elf.
Huh.
So they'd be the perfect cupbearers. They just start eating all the stuff. They get good meals. Dobby would enjoy it, frankly.
Yeah, he definitely would.
Yeah.
And then
Be first to volunteer. as
and you'd be
tribute.
like, "Oop, this one's poisoned. Good thing I'm like immune to all this, but I'm gonna definitely be on the toilet tonight." And then Dumbledore knows that like, hey, someone's up to no good. But there's probably also a spell you could do to reveal if something's poisoned. But I think during these dark times, they should get in better habits of doing that.
Yeah, right? They're not really making
They're being a
habits
little
of some of the other
carefree.
stuff.
They're like, yeah, the Dark Lord's out. Cheers.
a little too much.
Yep.
They're not using like the modes of even at the beginning. What when Arthur's like, what do I like to call you?
Yes.
We're alone.
Yeah.
Molly wobbles. They're not using any of that kind of stuff. The students aren't, at least.
Oof. And speaking of that, Slughorn was in a weirdly different mood now than before. So if someone was doing some polyjuice action, pretending to be Slughorn and not knowing that Slughorn was mad at Harry and doing a bad job playing Slughorn, they might have been able to identify that. It was a polyjuice Malfoy in the form of Slughorn.
Ooh. Pulls off a mask later on.
Yeah, I mean, if Malfoy is going to go sneaking off somewhere, him appearing back as
Or is
polyjuice
he
version of him.
doing a polyjuice potion as he's Snape and talking to Dumbledore?
And that was what the argument was in the woods. It was really Malfoy.
Wow.
Oof.
Bum, bum,
I mean,
bum.
tense. Also, I'm trying to think, on the Marauders map, you still show up with your name even with polyjuice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
but just your last name.
Because Barty Crouch,
yeah,
that's
Barty
why.
Crouch. That's why Harry knew. Okay.
It just doesn't
But
differentiate between juniors. Because Barty Crouch
Barty
was a junior.
Crouch. Okay.
Wait, it was full name or just last name? That was just last name.
Yeah.
Wait, only
it was
last
Barty
name?
Crouch.
I
It just
thought-
said
yeah,
Barty
yeah.
Crouch, but it just didn't say junior or senior.
That's interesting. Okay.
So dumb.
I'm making sure we couldn't get another confusing moment with Lucius or someone else. Or I'm trying to think of any other names that could be swapped, but I think we're in the clear.
Yeah, is there someone that's using Polyjuice in this that like they're not? Yeah, do you think Slughorn could be using Polyjuice in this?
I thought
have no way of knowing,
Snape
'cause
was.
Snape, as himself,
No,
using it.
I don't know. Someone else being Snape, maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Especially to, with the unbreakable vow.
Mm.
I thought that was weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
So I thought it was someone else.
You mean even when he made the unbreakable vow, he might have been someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's fascinating. Who do you think it could be?
I thought it was his dad, but that doesn't really make sense.
Wait, who's dad?
Lucius Malfoy.
Oh, making the vow. Whoa.
As
Pretending to be Snape, and then he makes a
it
vow
would be
with his
stupid
wife
though
to
because
protect
he's
his
like
son.
in the presence of his family, so that doesn't really make sense. But he was also with Wormtail. That Wormtail really threw me off.
Yeah, that really did.
So
That was a weird one. It didn't quite make sense because we don't know why, and we think of him as being a little like dumb. But maybe Wormtail was serving a purpose.
He was serving a purpose all along. Friendship. Anything else in this chapter before we go to the last one?
No, honestly, that was it. Harry saves Ron, being
Yeah.
a pro. Again, feels weird that Slughorn wasn't like on his toes.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, what's happening? Oh my! And Harry jumps into action.
Yeah.
that's why you don't think it was him.
That was it feeds into it. I didn't really think of it in the moment, but it felt off. It just felt weird. Again, like I've referenced, like it's like the captain of a ship. It's like, you know, a pilot. Like the crazier a situation is, the calmer they should be. And I think teachers should have a little essence of that. You know, like
Yeah,
crazy
for sure.
situations, stay calm. But it felt like he panicked a little and should have jumped into action.
Do you feel like Slughorn is a guy that would remain calm in those situations, though?
I don't think
Does he
so.
strike you as that person?
But a little bit, only because
He
of
made
how
a murder scene.
Yeah,
No.
like how he reacted there when he thought people were coming to kill him.
Yeah.
And then even when he got discovered, it wasn't like he was like heart rate high, panicking. He was like, oh, Dumbledore, silly man. Come on, you ruined my surprise. He just felt like crazy near-death experiences didn't seem to faze him. He does seem a little bit weird or aloof or out of it, but I kind of think he'd be okay in a crazy situation. But we haven't really seen that except when we met him.
You definitely know McGonagall would be great. Dumbledore would be great. Do you think Snape would actually be good in like a... I think he would be probably...
He was good in the
that
Shrieking
situation.
Shack. I was
Yeah,
pretty
that's true.
impressed. But
Then there are... Yeah. You feel like most of the professors should have that to some degree, but...
we've seen them all do really well and all make mistakes.
Yeah,
And
for
that's
sure.
the interesting part.
Can I go back to Slughorn for a second?
Yeah.
I feel like him taking care of himself, he would react well. I wonder
Yeah,
how
that's
he
a
would
great
react
point. Yep.
taking care of others.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it were the students and not
Fascinating.
himself.
Very Slytherin
Love to
quality
know.
about him. That's a great point. Or if it was like... If it was Harry that was poisoned, he'd probably react a whole lot more than if it was Wallenby or whatever he
Because
calls
he's
him.
never even looked at him, right? He like barely acknowledges he exists.
Yeah.
The next chapter starts. So, all in all, not one of Ron's better birthdays. So-
Oh, poor Ron.
Oh. Wait, when's his birthday again? March something?
yeah, this is, I think,
we
around
find
in
the date?
March.
I don't
I don't know
remember
if we
if it
had
said
an
the date,
exact date.
but-
Let me look it up.
I'm seeing if I wrote a summary.
March 1st,
Oh, March 1st. Okay, cool.
not
Closer
March
to me.
30th.
Man.
Bummer.
Whatever, it's closer to me.
Elf Tales, chapter 19. Quick summary of Elf Tales.
You want to take it? All right. Well, Ron is alive. He's in the hospital wing.
Yay.
So he cannot play Quidditch. McLagan takes his spot, but ends up hitting Harry with the bludger. So Harry is now in the hospital with a cracked skull. That had to have hurt. He ends up ordering Creature and Dobby to tail Malfoy.
Perfect.
I don't know if
Perfect.
there was anything else.
No, that's good. Hermione gave an almost audible sniff. She had been exceptionally quiet all day, having hurtled, white-faced, up to Harry outside the hospital wing and demanded to know what happened. She had taken almost no part in Harry and Ginny's obsessive discussion about how Ron had been poisoned, but merely stood beside them, clenched-jawed and frightened-looking, until at last they had been allowed to see him. What is Hermione feeling in this moment? Why is she... What is the difference in how she's feeling versus the others?
I think she was feeling some guilt. I don't think her last words to Ron, if things went south, would have been good ones. And I think she knows she's being at least a little bit childish in all this. And you hate to leave things unsaid.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably running through her mind. I wish I told him how I felt. Or why did I say that to him last week?
I mean, they haven't
kinda
talked in
hoping.
weeks.
Yeah. It seems like a rough way to end things. So I think she was overthinking that. Seems like everyone else is like, they understand some seriousness, but they're not that worried.
Yeah.
It is hard to tell, though.
From the lady's perspective, what is she feeling at this moment? Because it was a description that kind of like, not necessarily confused me, but it took me aback. It was just a different description than anything I'm kind of used to with JK writing. Like, she had almost no part in Harry and Ginny's obsessive discussion about how Ron had been poisoned. She just merely stood beside them, clenched-jawed and frightened-looking, until at last they had been allowed in to see him. Is she just scared that Ron could possibly be dead, and because she realized that she actually loves him?
That's what it felt like
Yeah.
to me.
Really?
Like she has no words because she's just in shock that could be capable, and she never got to express anything.
Yeah.
I think.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just like doesn't know how to process it, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I agree.
I think it's just shock.
Yeah, she's just in shock at this moment. Yeah.
Maybe it all hits her then too that she actually does like him.
Well, yeah. Maybe it's like
Like I can't live
actually
without him.
real. Yeah. Yeah.
This is where it all happens, in the hospital wing. What is up with these two failed attempts, though? Like,
Wait, what do you mean two?
I know we've asked this a lot. The necklace and now the mead. Are these two connected? Is this possibly two different people?
What did I just miss? I was
Or
like,
the
yeah.
same.
Yeah.
You sucked a chocolate chip off your shirt.
I dropped one of your banana bread chocolate chips on my shirt, and Jen pointed it out. I just did a little like half anteater chameleon vacuum
great.
maneuver to get it off my shoulder.
I was like,
It probably looked really funny. I'm like, sorry for that
I
sound,
liked how when you
everybody.
guys were like cracking up. I'm like, what did I miss?
Try to do it subtly. We try and do these little
Nothing
hand
is done
motions
subtly here.
and eyebrows. Sorry, yes. I'm not sure if this is connected. And there is always the chance that this is just a silly mistake that McLagan did. Because it could have been a Quidditch-based poisoning, which is absurd. But we didn't hear a lot about this poison. Like, we don't know if this poison was like he was going to die.
Yeah.
Or if this was like he was going to be passed out for long enough to have McLagan sub in for Quidditch. Did we hear like what the poison really was? We don't know, but McLagan was the only one who like really benefited from this.
Okay, Sherlock Holmes.
You also find it weird that Slughorn dumped the poison out pretty immediately.
He
Suspicious
did?
because then the evidence is gone, right? Is that
Yeah.
what that was? Is that why they didn't test it? I kind of missed that line.
Yeah.
He dumped
I
it out,
missed that too.
which is like good, get rid of it in a way, but it also feels like, wait, don't tamper with evidence. Keep a pure crime scene. The whole thing is suspicious. And also, again, we're led to believe the
But
poison
then
was
that would
in
also
the mead, but maybe it wasn't.
be pull into your polyjuice thing that Slughorn's not actually Slughorn. If he dumped it.
It was McLagan and Polyjuice. No.
He's not that
Well,
dark.
the weird part is Slughorn did save Ron, kind of from the love potion.
Slughorn saved Ron from the love portion. Yeah, for sure.
So they're capable enough that Harry and Ron needed to go to them. So I don't think it's Malfoy is what I'm trying to say. Whoever went to him, or whoever, like, if he was a polyjuice thing, it's somebody who does kind of know what they're doing.
Someone older.
Yeah. I also love the even though it's underage drinking, I do love the idea that he is on a love potion, then he is freed from this love potion, and then he feels at his lowest ever. He feels miserable, so he needs a little pick-me-up, which is alcohol, which is really funny to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that description
is
this. I feel like it's an apt one. Sometimes when that happens to you, it's like, it's like a miserable feeling.
What is the chocolate is for the other thing?
Dementors.
Yes,
yeah.
so that's what I thought that he was going to give.
Good work for this one, I know. But Slughorn's going in a different direction. A little alcohol.
What if it really is Snape? And it was a Snape polyjuice thing, and that's what Snape was arguing with Dumbledore about. I can't do this anymore. I can't teach 2 classes, potions and my Defense Against the Dark Arts classes.
I don't know.
Is Snape using a time turner?
Oh
I feel like it's the only way. It's the old time turner polyjuice combo.
Time turner and polyjuice. You
Well,
can't keep
we're
track
like
of
all
anyone.
the time
real
turners
person?
are gone. Well, that would be the question. It would be a repeat of the Moody scenario where, like, the whole time we think it's Slughorn, it's not. I think it would still be Slughorn, but if that theory had any credence, it would be Slughorn comes to school, maybe even starts the class off and says, all right, Snape, now it's potion stuff. I don't know anything about that. You take it from here. And then Slughorn is actually out on missions with Dumbledore. Or he's deep in the dungeons hiding somewhere trying to stay safe. And Snape is doing all the classes and saying, stay down there with your memories. But I don't know. I like the idea that there's not a lot of polyjuice or time turner stuff going on because it just opens up so much chaos that anything is possible.
Yeah.
And in that chaos, I'm wondering, is there anything more that's going to happen with Azkaban? Again, with Inferi, people coming back from the dead, stuff like that. I'm worried about people like Morphin who are buried out there and Mrs. Crouch. It feels like Azkaban, the graveyard there, has some stuff going on. So the Azkaban graveyard and the graveyard outside the Riddle Mansion, those are the 2 we've heard of so far. And they're both just a little, like, weird.
Yeah.
Graveyards are always weird.
Yeah.
But in this book, I feel like dead bodies and stuff are just it's a little different, you know?
Yeah, this is a little strange.
Could they have Sirius Black be in Fairy?
Ooh.
Oh, man. Well, the veil.
What is that?
We don't know enough about the veil and what happens.
That's a whole nother.
Oof.
What is? Yeah, that's a great question. What is the veil? Is Sirius
Yeah,
still
you're right. He
out
doesn't even
there
have a
somewhere?
body. What in the world? And who sounded like a Weasley? Oof.
Percy.
Well, we can only hope.
This is another line, and this is one of the main parts of this whole chapter. This is when Hagrid bursts in, and he's kind of talking about the conversation he overheard. I don't know, Harry. I shouldn't have heard it at all. I was coming out of the forest the other evening, and I overheard him talking. Well, arguing. Didn't like to draw attention to myself, so I sort of skulked and tried not to listen, but it was a heated discussion, and it wasn't easy to block out. Well, Harry urged him as Hagrid shuffled his enormous feet uneasily. Well, I just heard Snape saying Dumbledore took too much for granted, and maybe he, Snape, didn't want to do it anymore. Do what? I don't know, Harry. It sounded like Snape was feeling a bit overworked, that's all. Anyway, Dumbledore told him flat out that he agreed to do it, and that was all there was to it. Pretty firm with him. And then he said something about Snape making investigations in his house in Slytherin. Well, there's nothing strange about that, Hagrid added hastily, as Harry and Hermione exchanged looks full of meaning. All the heads of the houses were asked to look into that necklace business. What is this conversation between Dumbledore and possibly Snape, possibly Polyjuice Snape? What is it about?
Well, I was just thinking while you're reading that. What if Dumbledore had Snape go back to his house? But the Wormtail thing throws me off. But knew that Malfoy's mom and aunt were going to come to talk to him about helping Malfoy with his task. So he put some kind of spell on Snape so they could do the unbreakable vow, but it would like not really kill him if Malfoy died. Kind of like
planning ahead
like
for
a
that
double
unbreakable vow.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that way it proves that his loyalty to Lord Voldemort, but it actually gives insight into the next step of the task.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And that would be a cover, and then maybe that's why Snape's like, this is getting too much. I can't play both sides
because
anymore.
Bellatrix
Interesting.
was really
Like a
weirded
double
out that he
negative.
was willing to do that. He
Yeah.
was like, whoa, what? Yeah, like, is there something you could do ahead of time if you know an unbreakable vow is coming to, like, counteract it?
Yeah,
Or,
like,
like,
you're
make
not
it
actually
void,
gonna
like,
die.
cross your fingers
Yeah.
behind your back, or, like, something Dumbledore could help him with ahead of time? Or, yeah, like, I feel like there must be some
Because-
kind of advanced chess move.
Yeah.
Well, either way, that would make sense for him to just be like, look, Dumbledore, I'm being a spy right now for you guys over near Voldemort, and that's sketchy, so like I can't do spy stuff anymore, you know? Like I can't play both sides. It's too tricky. And for all we know, he had the same conversation with Voldemort, like, but he also could be Polyjuice Slughorn, but that seems a little less likely. Yeah, I feel like he's doing a lot. Snape is going crazy, and I think his investigations into Slytherins must be him looking for what Malfoy is up to, because he needs to help Malfoy, like literally, or he might die, right? If the unbreakable vow is real.
Yeah.
So he's like, he's got to find out what Malfoy is up to and help him do what he's trying to do, because if Malfoy does his mission or fails his mission without Snape, then Snape dies. Like, that's so weird. It's really intense.
Is it possible that this is Karkaroff in a fat suit? It's Slughorn. Someone threw that out on chat.
I
Bringing
like
back
it.
some Karkaroff. stuff.
Karkaroff is not dead because he is the Half-Blood Prince. That theory, because it hasn't been mentioned at all, I'm like, I really thought Karkaroff would come back a little bit,
She
or would
does
hear
that.
mentioned.
She just throws
She
one
does,
thing
and
and just
maybe it's still
forgets
just
it.
like there. I'll let it sit in the back of my mind, but I feel like it's the stuff right in front of me that feels more likely. So now I'm leaning more towards things like Voldemort. I don't think James Potter anymore, but he's number 3. Snape, James Potter, Karkaroff. Yeah.
Wait, Snape is your number one?
No, he's number 2
Oh.
after Voldemort.
Voldemort, Snape,
James Potter,
and then
Karkaroff. Yeah.
I thought James was taken out.
And you know what?
Age.
I'll even every once in a while I throw Slughorn in there, but right now I'm thinking that sounds silly. But there's a chance Slughorn is still the Half-Blood Prince, or the Half-Blood Prince is a made-up thing, and it's just something they made this book for Harry because he'd be attracted to a prince thing. And then they're like, good, let's give him all the clues he needs to finish his mission, his little secret Dumbledore mission that isn't being properly communicated to him.
Yeah.
Also, what kind of books do you read a sick spider?
That's right. He was reading.
Hagrid is reading him, reading to him.
Itsy bitsy spider.
Ew.
Was that the water
Friggin'
spout?
itsy bitsy
Charlotte's
spider
Web.
encounter today.
Ugh. Spider encounters. Lame.
I hate them.
That's a good question. What kind of books do you read as spiders? These are two of the other lines that we got. Harry added, getting to his feet and picking up his firebolt. Will you stop pretending to be asleep when Lavender comes to see you? She's driving me mad as well. Oh, said Ron, looking sheepish. Yeah, all right. If you don't want to go out with her anymore, just tell her, said Harry. Yeah, well, not that easy, is it? Said Ron. He paused. Hermione going to come look in before the match? She added casually. I love that he just tried to add that casually in there. That was so funny to me. And then this is the other one. He hurried down the deserted corridor. The whole school was outside, either already seated in the stadium or headed down toward it. He was looking out of the window he passed, trying to gauge how much wind they were facing, when a noise ahead made him glance up, and he saw Malfoy walking toward him, accompanied by 2 girls, both of whom looked sulky and resentful. That's a funny description. What do you think? Do you think that I guess maybe just a simple one. Do you think that Ron and Hermione are going to end up together, or do you think there's going to be more complications?
I feel like, yeah, there's not that many more books.
Wow. Could they get together in this book? And then we get a whole book of them being together?
Whoa.
I mean, there might be some more drama involved, but it's possible.
Yeah, life or death situations make you think.
It's true.
It's possible. I think that is the most likely scenario at this point. I can't put my finger on Harry, but the Ron Hermione thing just feels right.
Harry Ginny, Harry Luna.
Those are the two best options for Harry, I think, right now.
Who's a better fit for him?
But I also wouldn't mind Cho coming back in Little
Ooh,
Redemption.
wow.
I wouldn't mind it so much. I don't think it's going to happen because they wouldn't have made her the one who betrayed everyone, Dumbledore's army in the movie, if that was how it was going to play out. But, well, but maybe that just makes the redemption even better.
How did you guys like Luna's coverage of the match?
Oh my god.
I wasn't
You guys
as offended by
predicted
it, but
Jen predicted that a while ago. I
yeah?
think. I think we were
Nice.
talking
Did I?
about because Lee Jordan was graduating. We're like, who do you think is gonna commentate
I
the
think we
matches?
did.
And you were like, I feel like Luna would be really good and funny.
Oh,
I think we
boy.
talked about that for a minute.
It
or
was
two on this
funny.
podcast.
pointing out clouds and
I
stuff.
know. Coming up with
But she
phrases.
was saying that people's personalities, they're mean to sound. So
Yeah, I know.
that was entertaining.
She's funny. like,
McGonagall's like
she's-
grabbing the mic.
Yeah, like impatient
It's
with
another
her.
funny dynamic between
that
the
is
kid
so
and
funny,
McGonagall.
yeah.
I love that.
It's so good.
Madam Hooch is dumb, obviously.
Yep, 100%.
Wonder if those two girls with Malfoy were Crabbe and Goyle. In disguises. Or
In
Polyjuice
disguise,
directly.
Polyjuice, really?
Maybe, but no, I'm just thinking it's also
They did look
possible.
sulky.
Like sulky. Like I'm like they couldn't figure out Polyjuice, so they just put on big like hair growth charms or a wig, and they're just like, ooh, just sulk a lot so you don't look like you. Like, ooh, I'm a little girl. And I'm just picturing other possibilities.
That's so good.
Because we do see him with them all the time, and now they're not there.
Yeah.
And who are these random girls? Anyways,
Just two
just thought of that
random
now.
It could be Crabbe and Goyle. That'd be funny.
Still don't know why and why put them in disguise. That's more suspicious than anything else. But anyways, Luna, great commentating.
What do you think of Dobby? Because this is one of the lines. Dobby is a free house elf, and he can obey anyone he likes. And Dobby will do whatever Harry Potter wants him to do, said Dobby, tears streaming down his shriveled little face onto his jumper. What do you think of Dobby?
He's very sweet. It's so much better that he's free. He still doesn't feel like an adult, you know, but that's part of why he's so charming. He's just like a little kid. He's so innocent and just like loyal.
I know, he's the best. You
And-
go
You want to go? What you got?
you go from hating him in the second book. You're like, this kid he's so annoying.
Yeah.
And then now he's just so loyal and like loves Harry. He's like a little dog, you know?
Aw,
Maybe
yeah.
that's a terrible description, but just like unabashed, like unconditional love. Doesn't matter what Harry does, he just loves him.
Yep.
And I love that.
And I feel like we get the moment where they're like wrestling on the floor, but Harry called Creature and he like immediately appeared.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, was the fight before Harry even thought of it?
Yeah.
And like every night Dobby is like wrestling this dude, like, don't you dare say anything bad about Harry. And it just happened to be that this all was when Harry called him. And I guess the apparition happened to pull Dobby too. But yeah. He's so cute.
Yeah, he's a cute little character in this.
Peeves
My
is still
sister.
confusing to me. Peeves keeps popping up at the weirdest times.
Yeah, do you think it's actually weird that so you kind of know why Dobby comes because he's wrestling with Creature there. So Harry calls Creature, and then because I guess they're touching, but why does Peeves show up overhead?
I don't
Doesn't that
know.
seem strange?
It definitely does. And he's one of the most unused things.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just building it up into something. There will be lots of things in this world that don't come into use.
When does
Yeah.
he come up though? Like what were the
Peeves
other
has to- well, earlier, maybe even in this chapter, or was it right here? He said some kind of line like, you know, something about trouble, make it double, a little Team Rocket or something.
Yeah.
He's like something about when there's trouble, Peeves is around to make it double. And maybe it was even last chapter. Oh no, here, 407. Where there's strife and where there's trouble, call on Peevy, he'll make it double. Peevesy. And that was, earlier in this chapter, and now we're kind of seeing him show up. And I'm just wondering, could he be manipulated to actually help spy on Malfoy or like get more information about what's going on in the castle? He seems to kind of be free reign running around. And this is the first time we've seen anyone impact him. Harry's got to move now. That's cool.
I know.
He's got a spell that affects Peeves.
Any other points for this chapter before we go into the final sum?
Dobby is cute. Dobby's more of a fighter than I thought.
Yeah, he knocks creatures' teeth out.
Yeah, I was like, yo, Dobby, what's up? It felt weird that Dobby was just so quick to agree to help Harry because doesn't he work for the school?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't he have to double check with like Dumbledore or whoever his boss is? He's just like, yep, full time. I'm going to stalk Draco. It felt a little, I'm like, all right, Dobby, like you know, don't answer until you actually know, and he'll be launching himself off a building in sorrow. I'm like, just slow down.
He's got to take PTO to do this.
Yeah. He's been saving it up though. He's never used a sick day, so
True. You wouldn't. Okay, before the final summary, I just want to know, where is the direction that you think this book is going, and how will this book end? So the other one seemed like they had a clear direction than this one, right?
No. I feel like you ask us that every book, and I was like, I have no idea. But sure.
Where do you think this one's going?
I feel like it's either going to end where like they're about to match up with Voldemort. Maybe they get all the memories. And Dumbledore is like, okay, now you have all the information you need, and we're going to set up a situation where you're going to battle him. Or sneak attack him.
like the plan is set by the end of this book for book 7 to be the battle, a long drawn out many war.
But she surprised me before. Remember with Voldemort coming back so soon.
So by the end of this book, do we meet the Half-Blood Prince? And does Malfoy / Snape attempt whatever they are going to attempt? And how big is that plan? Because right now it feels so small. It's one little 6th year kid, maybe out poisoning people, maybe planning something in Hogwarts in some hidden place. Maybe he's off in Hogsmeade somewhere. The twins are trying to buy Zonkos. Pretty sweet.
I know they just like drop that in there. They're
I was like,
rich
what?
now.
They're incredible. Also, Zonkos isn't that the one that has the secret method into Hogwarts that Harry took in the earlier books? So I was like, oh, that's cool. But
oh no, that's
it's the sweet shop, not the joke shop. Okay. But either way, it just feels a little small. So I think by the end of this book, we are going to be surprised by something. Maybe what Malfoy has planned is way bigger than we realize. And it's going to be like, whoa, he wasn't just trying to kill Harry. He's trying to blow up Hogwarts. And he's building a giant bomb in the basement. Or like he's trying to do something bigger. And Snape doesn't even know, or he might try and stop him. But Snape is now locked in to try and help him. But I feel like it's a little too safe. So whatever happens by the end of this has to be like, everything's different now. I don't know, Scrimgeour is evil and he's Voldemort's right-hand man, and now the Ministry is all evil again. Not everybody, or like, but then like now we don't trust the Ministry and half the Ministry left, or we find out whatever Horcrux is or Horcruxes, and everyone who worked for the Ministry is now under a spell and they're attacking, you know, like wherever these battle lines are drawn by the end of this book, I think, it's gotta be big. I just don't know how. I don't know how it's going to get there because so far it's pretty small, pretty calm, pretty chill. So, yeah, I don't know. Guess we will find out. Will Malfoy succeed? Will Hogwarts exist?
Is Dumbledore going to be alive still? I've thought of that too.
Wait, what?
Dumbledore.
I do think people will die in this book. Well, people kind of have to, right? Has anyone yet? No.
Did you just say, is Dumbledore going to be alive at the end of this?
You think?
That would be awful.
Why wouldn't he be? You don't think Malfoy's after Harry? He's after Dumbly.
No, I just don't know what's going on with his hand.
It might spread. It's an infection.
I don't know. He's also getting old.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about the hand thing. Yeah, he is more feeble.
Yeah.
I don't get the impression that he's that old yet. But I wonder if he could mimic Voldemort's immortality thing. Like, Voldemort thinks he's the one who's the closest to immortality, but he's the one who claimed that. Maybe Dumbledore has already set these things up too. Or maybe that's dark magic stuff and Dumbledore wouldn't do that, but maybe it's not.
Stone.
Sorcerer's Stone. Oh, yeah, you're right. That is kind of like a path to immortality. Yeah, that's weird. Also weird that the Flamels didn't come up again. Just a one-off.
I know. It's just a little
They're on an island somewhere.
retirement. All right, let's go over the last three things. So, what is your favorite, or who wins at the House Cup in this chapter? I gotta re-go over the chapters.
I know, that's what I can't.
2, 3.
This is the moment.
This is killing Danny. And
No,
I
it gives
didn't
me
write
time to
anything
think.
down,
It's great.
so
I don't know. I like Dobby in the last chapter where he's like attacking creature.
That's a good one.
That is pretty good.
And he would be loyal. He'll do anything Harry says. And he's always like crying, tearing up when he has anything to do for Harry. Yeah.
That's a cute one. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's good.
So what's yours?
It is tough. I think I'm going to have to give it to Harry for the double Bezoar move, first in class, second to save Ron. But runner-up goes to the Half-Blood Prince because he gave Harry a lot of useful information. The Muffliato, which helped with the whole creature situation. The thing that made Peeves go away. The saving him in potions class, which helped butter up Slughorn for the ask about Horcruxes. Didn't actually work, but on the off chance that the Half-Blood Prince is evil and this is all a ploy to hurt Harry, I can't really give him the House Cup. But he was helpful. But yeah, I think Harry was crushing it in these chapters.
I'll probably say Harry too, actually. I think he was doing really good in these. Even though he's like still, he has a ways to go for his growth. He's just, the last few chapters, he's been growing at immense rates. I feel like he's really stepping into his own now.
can I do both?
No, you got to pick a side or come up with an original.
Pick a side. I'd love to be original, but my brain is not
late.
on an original path
We're all
right
too
now.
tired.
I don't know. I was gonna say Harry too.
Anybody but Cormac.
No.
Oh, goodness.
Not
All right,
like
what is
him.
your favorite moment in these chapters?
He's gonna do something.
The crystallized pineapple.
I don't know. It's kind of boring, but every time that there's like a memory to like
Yeah.
So
go
fun.
through, I feel like that's one of my favorites, just to learn a little bit more.
Yeah. Especially when Dumbledore is saying this is like the
Right.
most important memory he has. That kind of gets you excited for
Yeah.
things.
But then it's like seemed lame. Shoot.
Sorry. I did love the memories. I always love the memories. Yeah. I think the memory of Voldemort and Slughorn. Now, you know what? It wasn't my favorite. I wanted it to be because Dumbledore said it was the most important, but I actually liked the Morphin one better because I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh, there's so much going on. What is this? Is this real? Is this fake? What's the knife about? The jewelry, it was suspicious. It was like, I was on the edge of my seat. I cared about that. Even though I feel like I should care about the Slughorn one more because that's what Dumbledore said, I'm just not there yet. I'm like, why is this so important? What's a Horcrux?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah, favorite moment, pensive, Morphin.
I like that.
Mighty Morphin time.
This might be controversial, but I think when Ron was on the love potion,
That was great.
okay,
No, that was
because
really
you know
funny.
what though, we knew he was going to be safe because Harry was with him. It was so
He's like
funny.
drunk on love.
Yeah,
I
it was
know.
funny, but
And then when he like comes across Lavender and he's like, "Leave me alone."
yeah.
Harry's going to introduce me to Romilda Vane. So sorry, that's my.
It was like love potion is such a weird thing in these books to me. It's used as like a comedic device,
Right.
but it is so
It's
dark.
I mean,
it's
yeah,
so
in reality,
powerful,
it's
so
awful.
manipulative, and
But
yeah,
like
it's so
just
true.
reading, it was just funny.
Yeah. That whole sequence of like Harry got punched in the back of the head.
Yes, that was so funny.
Ron is so in love. It was so funny.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
That was a really
laughing.
Yeah, that was a good moment. A scary moment, to be honest, but it was funny. I think my favorite moment is the Luna's coverage of Quidditch.
Whoa.
I just thought that was so good. I thought that was so funny.
Wow.
But
Unexpected.
maybe in reality, I think my favorite moment is the memories with you guys. That's like,
Yeah.
I think the sluggish memory chapter is just such a good chapter. It just does keep you at the edge of your seat. But just like, I like Luna commentating matches. It's cute.
Yep. She's
All right.
great.
Who wins Hot Tamale? Last one.
It's a tough one. There's a lot of spice in these chapters.
I know.
Willing and unwilling spice.
Just don't give it to Ramilda Vane. Anybody but
seriously.
Ramilda Vane.
Ooh.
She's forbidden.
I think I have to give it to Ron because,
He had the hots for her.
well, I think just his subconscious spiciness. It wasn't. It's not active tamale action, but just like saying Hermione's name and like I feel like we're seeing him understanding his feelings towards Hermione. So I got to give it to him.
And in a sad way, this is probably Ron's happiest moment of his life. He's in a bed. All the attention is on him.
Yep.
He has 2 girls vying for his attention. He's
a hot tamale.
He is a hot tamale.
He doesn't
I'm
even
going
know
to give it
what
to
to do
Ron
with it.
too. Ron is my hot tamale.
I feel like he deserves it this time more than last time.
Right.
Yeah, maybe a little
Yep.
bit.
At some point, Harry's dragon metaphor was referenced again, like something stirring in his stomach again, starting to wake up from a slumber. However, it was said, just the idea that his dragon was awoken. Whenever something about
In his
Dean
stomach.
in his stomach, indeed. I don't remember, but it was funny.
Yeah. This just is good writing.
No.
Oh, that's right.
It's the second time I've spilled it today.
Oh no. On that note, we'll end unless you guys have anything else. Any last notes?
Danny.
I think that's it for me.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on our journey of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers.
Woo!
Hey, just a little sneak peek onto future seasons. We are planning to do future seasons of the podcast for Harry Potter and the First Time Readers, and we already have a few people lined up, and I am very excited about some of these people that are coming on. Just a few people that we knew kind of came out of the woodwork, and I've had a friend that I've wanted to do the entire time, so we're excited for future seasons of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers.